And the minute you walk into the temple, your frequency changes because it's supercharged in that way. And when you walk in, it's like a dimensional shift. You're immediately like, whoa, you change the frequency from 3D world matrix. It's intense. It's beautiful.
Jenevieve, what's going on?
How are you?
As we were talking about before we got on camera, still recovering from last night a little bit, but
Next time you do mushrooms, if you want to have like a guided, mystical, like really wild, otherworldly experience, call me.
Okay.
And I'll do a whole ritualistic, ceremonial, like guidance through your mushroom trip. And then you tell me, then we can talk about it later, and you could tell me what you felt.
Nice.
If you dug it or not.
No, I'm totally down for that.
Really?
Yeah.
Then you got to come to the mountains. It's even better.
All right.
So it's a very powerful place to have plant medicine journeys. And I don't really do it very often. The last time I did it was my introduction to the reptilian race in Joshua Tree. When I met the Nagas and Naginis, like this divine race of serpents. And then I became involved in other practices. And to this day, the serpent energy is very strong. And I'm going to write a book about them at some point soon.
Nice. Well, okay. So how did, I want to hear the story of like the meeting. And
well, actually, the mushroom trip, the Joshua Tree trip, that was actually in 2007. That wasn't recent. Well, I was in Joshua Tree. So I have for me, the second sight is very strong. The second sight is having like, the third eye vision. Since I was a little girl, I've always had it, and it's always been very strong for me. It's just why I use a lot of it in practices for other people, because lucid dreaming, there's like psychic dreaming. I mean, I've seen everything from places in China, this place called Hammer Hill. I've seen breathing techniques to change your time of death. I've seen pranayama exercises. I've seen animals talk to me and tell me where they live and where they were. And I've been able to verify all of this. I mean, my dreams have been profound since I was little. I had this one dream when I was a little girl over and over for years. There was 3 dreams. The first one was I was in a bathtub with water, and water is like a psychic conduit for you to reach states of consciousness. And there were 13 heads. And the heads would circle me in the bathtub, and they had their mouths would open and close, and they would just circle me, and I was naked. While the heads, these living heads, I don't know if they were male or female. I didn't know. It was really not. See, in other realms, male and female is kind of irrelevant, and I believe that's what this was. It was sort of like the Shiva Shakti connection. And the heads, now I realize 13 represents the 13 phases of the moon. So these 13 heads circled me and represented all of the waning and waxing of the phases of the moon and the different energies that come with the divine feminine and masculine. And I was never afraid of it. And I always had a fascination with human heads, always. They decorated my house. If you go to my house now, there's Sorcerer Q. He's the head that guards the gate, the coming in way, and he's a head with long hair, and he stays there. There's been some really funny rumors about me actually cutting off people's heads, which was ridiculous. That was never a thing. It's symbolic for slaying the ego, removing removing energies that would keep us from liberation and clarity. So the idea of cutting off a head is more like to liberate the energy so that we can be free, to expand our consciousness. That's the point of human heads in Hinduism, in Tantra. It's not that I literally cut off somebody's head. Not yet, anyway. I mean,
not it. I would like to keep my head, please.
Oh, no. Well, okay. Well, no, you could work without it. I mean, honestly, the head will keep going. Did you know that? The mind will continue, even when it's dismembered from the body.
Yeah, I would prefer not to find out the hard way.
I promise I won't do that. Okay. And then the other dream was that I was doing magic, and I pulled the tablecloth out from under the table with all these items on it, and I did it perfectly. And I said to my mother, look, Ma, I just, did a perfect, and she said, Jen, you're in trouble. Don't do that. Go in the hallway. And I'd have to sit at the top of these stairs, and below the bottom of the stairs there were these witches. I believe higher and lower were like set states of consciousness, like higher elevation and lower, like more dense energy. And one had a plastic prosthetic leg. And the leg would sit in the hallway, and my punishment was to sit and stare at the leg. I have to just sit there and listen to them cackle really loud, and I have to stare at the leg. And I was terrified of the leg.
Where did the leg come from?
It was one of the witches' prosthetic legs, I imagine. But they only left the one leg in the hall, and they would just cackle. And my punishment, so I believe that was reincarnation or past lives, that I have been in trouble in other lifetimes for doing either, probably like benefic magic, things to help bring nature into balance and to bring humanity into balance, But in this dream, in this world, it was bad, and I was in trouble. And so I had to stare at the leg. But I've always had kind of a fear. In fact, people would do funny things in my house. This one of my exes would take like legs, Barbie legs, and like leave them in places. He thought it wasn't very funny. He thought it was funny. But anyway,
That's for a reason.
So human heads don't faze me, but the leg is kind of like a thing.
Okay.
But anyway, those profound dreams, my entire life, I've always had visions, and I've always known how to wake up in my dreams, to visit in the astral realms, and also speak with ethereal beings. So I've always had that ability and skill, and I've honed it now through practices, because when I was little, I didn't really know what it was just there. And so in 2007, I was in Joshua Tree with a friend, and we did mushrooms in a ceremonial context. We did all the Kali, we did all the mantras, which are like chanting to wake up divine energy and balance the biological humors in the body before you do it. Mantra balances the brain and the soul and the body. Like it brings you into your hemispheres into perfect harmony that you may be open to higher states of awareness. So we did all that. And then as it started to come on, I met this race of beings that I found out later are very prominent in Joshua Tree, actually. Reptilians are known to be there. And this race of beings talked to me through this rock. And the rock became this Native American man. And he said, "You'll know me when you see me. I'm Shiva." And then it was Shiva and Shakti, the two divine forces of male, female, in union, in Yab Yum, in this force of like complete divine connection. And then it was this race of beings that were really shape-shifting and morphing through this. And they told me that one day I would work with sex magic. They didn't tell me. I spoke with them about these things, to write a book about them. And they told me a bunch of things about a lot of things. Some of it I don't know if I want to say.
All right.
But
now I'm curious.
Most of it came into be. They visited me. So since then, I've had a relationship with them. They're called Nagas and Naginis.
Okay.
And I don't know if you know who Sadhguru is.
I do not.
Pretty famous. He's not a tantric. He calls himself, he's just a guru in India, and he's really famous. And his practices are very tantric, which is like a different form of spirituality that includes being in the body as opposed to out of the body. So it's about being, instead of just always reaching states of transcendence, that spirituality is also immanent inside of us, that we are the whole, that divinity is in all of us together as one. So that's what Tantra is different than like Vedanta, which is another kind of spirituality, which is like Vedic. And so anyway, where was I going with that? Oh yeah, so he has a lot of rituals he does to these serpent races. So some of us know about these serpent races, and we know that to be involved with these races and in being honoring and devotion of these beings, it brings a lot of harmony into the planet because they're much about the planet. So I met them again many times. They asked for my blood. They've asked for colostrum. That was the part I didn't really, there were some things that have to happen for us to create our species. That was a whole different story. Let me backtrack. They, as a whole, are here to help with the earth. And those of us that mantra or chant, and I spend hours a day in meditation and chanting, like hours. It's like most of my life is dedicated to Tantra and these practices. And so through those, I've learned a lot of techniques, sex magic techniques, meditation, other breathing techniques, ways to change your time of death, ways to become.
When you're changing your time of death, are you speeding it up or slowing it down?
No, you're slowing it down. You're slowing it down, but you're also building your energy or auric field to the point of like this luminous being where you just see this oneness with all of life. You become like one with. It's that state of true love that the isolation, separation that we all feel, that sadness, that despair, that being stuck, that feeling not free, is removed with the practices. You really start to see that all of us, like everything is really one, like we're all together. And it's hard to explain, but these things work. And this race is very helpful in that, along with the goddess. And the point of that story was something else. Oh yeah. So they told me I'd write a book about them. So we use the chanting and the practices. So each time I practice and I meditate, I get more and more information about, for lack of a better word, magic, ways to change frequency, ways to shapeshift, ways to dream travel, ways to lucid dream, ways to see the future and the past, but for purposes of bringing more of a beautiful energy, not for purposes of, all this is for the purpose of love and unity. Everything is in that intention, not spiritual powers for ridiculous purposes like self-ego. It's not an ego. I know I have never prayed or done magic because I had some self-serving thing in mind. I have never done it. Never. I've done protection, but other than that, it's usually for something bigger than that. But with those practices, you do get things come, other things come that you're not necessarily looking for, but there are many spiritual powers, perks to those things that happen as a natural offset of being so devoted. The devotion is what brings us closer to the divine. When we're devoted and we have a spiritual discipline that we're willing to take our time and energy to bring this frequency into our bodies and into each other. And the adult industry, especially now, especially always, actually, there is a real connection is not common.
No, not at all.
Awareness. I'm not the actors and actresses. Everyone's beautiful. I just mean as a whole entity. It's one dimensional. There's like a low frequency. And I've been asked a million times over the years about tantric porn. I've been asked so many times. And I've always said, okay, well, it's a big thing because tantric porn is not just like, because Tantra is not sex. So the first thing is that when the school teaches things that are meant for enlightenment and states of consciousness and for the true well-being, immortality, for truth. That is completely not sexual. Now, this new thing that I haven't said yet, which I've decided finally through my beings and through all the meditations that I've done that it's time to do, is sexually related, but at a high vibration, and it does connect to the school. So in other words, like if somebody really, really was interested in elevating their consciousness and awareness, they could learn the real practices and they could use them in their own personal sex life or anything they do. So if you take awareness into anything you're doing, I can go into a scene where it's like a gang, anything, it could be anything. If you go in knowing certain things, you can even change the frequency of the entire situation you're in, even if they never studied. Just the Shakti, which Shakti is like the divine feminine, the divine energy that flows through all of us. Shakti is the movement. So Shiva is a divine spark and Shakti is creation. Flowers, everything is Shakti. Our energies, the things we create and move, they're all forms of Shakti. So if there was a porn site that actually shared tantric teachings, I mean real ones with like the elements, earth, air, water, fire, and ether, breathing techniques, positioning, how to see each other as God and goddess, elemental ceremonial magic, what you do and put there, the things that you can say to connect. So, and the whole point is liberation in your own self. It's not to connect to someone else and like take something from them. It's to liberate your own spirit, your own soul. And life becomes easier and everything becomes easier when you're connected to that source. So if there were a tantric porn site that truly knew the deeper teachings, what would that be like?
Well, I'm really curious.
What would that be like?
Would that site be more educational for the consumer, or would it?
It would be. I wrote down the post perfect. So it would be everything. It'll be for watching, right? It'll be for couples, individuals who want something deeper. Because I have a lot of friends that say, "Hey, I love like the idea of watching sexual things, but porn just doesn't do it for me." And they always say, we Googled tantric porn and there's really nothing we can find because you have to know the practices to really do it properly. If you don't know the real deeper meaning of Tantra and you didn't study for 30 years, which I have, you don't really know how to do sex magic. You might go like, you might do something frivolous or superficial, but not deeply meaningful and really penetrating, no pun intended. Well, maybe. Anyway,
maybe just a little
penetrating on every single level, right? So, what was I saying? So, yes. What was the question?
Well, the question is like the site itself. Would it?
Oh, okay. Yes.
It would like because
yes, I'll tell you.
Mainstream porn is not educational, and
no,
that's one thing that the world needs to understand is when you go to fucking Brazzers, you should not be trying to learn anything.
Right. Well, I guess maybe I had to like pound the fuck out of somebody, and that's great too.
Not even that, because you know as well as I do, it's supposed to be aesthetically pleasing. It's not necessarily pleasurable for everyone.
No, it isn't pleasurable at all. Right. And guys are doing this thinking it's what women want, and maybe they do sometimes. I mean, like there's moments, but like no, yeah. So the idea would be everything. So there'd be scenes that would show you how things were done. And then scenes that explain to you how to do those things. And then pranayama, which is breath work, practices you could do with your lover. And then solo, you don't need a partner for these. You can use sexual energy of your own accord at the altar with certain, there's one thing called the breath of bliss. And there's bandhas. You use certain bandhas, which are locks in the body that lay at Mula, Jalandhara and Udayana and Jalandhara. So there are 3 bandhas. If you know how to use those bandhas, you become the immortal flight. You can become immortal through practices of solo, and it is potentially with group, you can, with couples can too, if you do your own practices first. So they don't have to. If you're really gung-ho, like you're passionate about devotion to the divine, and you really just want to get deeply involved in this, then you can learn from my school as well. Or you can just learn what's on the site. It depends. It's all your own fervor. It's how much do you want to devote yourself to something? How much love do you have in your heart for what you're doing? Like, I have so much love for it that I could spend, I do yoga, breath work, and meditation, and ritual, and ceremony, and teaching all the time because I fucking love it. And I'm really dedicated to Devi, my journey through the Devi, and being able to have that peace, that calmness, not being reactive to everything around me anymore. I have my moments. I'm Italian.
Well, you're a human being, of course.
And I'm also Italian and Greek. So, but like nothing to the point where you almost can be the observer watching the events that go on in your life instead of being so caught up in them and always seeking love somewhere else, looking for how do I find love? People have sex because they're looking for love a lot of times. It's a way to connect. They're looking for something else. It's in us already.
A lot of times I'm just looking to have an orgasm.
Well, that too. But not everybody, but they're underneath the orgasm. There really is. There is like a little, for a lot of people, maybe not you, they want to connect in some way. They're looking for something. They're lonely and they're looking for something.
No, there have definitely been points in my life where it's like, I probably would have had a better orgasm by myself. But
oh God.
The validation.
You feel the people involved.
The validation of like, this person wants to, go to bed for whatever their motivation is. Like, well, that's enticing. Let's do the thing. It's not necessarily the best way to go about life at times, but
no, and it's fine. And that's things too with like these practices. There's no judgments of any, like, there's no right or wrong, and there's no, God is not one thing. God and Goddess is like everything. So you worship the way you see fit. But the site will have voyeurism. You can watch with your partner. You can learn true pranayama, like not like this, like you see on the web, learn the whole Hofu breath or something where they're like, they're doing all this, and you're just like doing this ridiculous, I don't want to, actually everything is whatever, they do whatever they do, but it's not true breath work, and it's not going to bring you to higher states of consciousness. It is not going to connect you to the divine in yourself or anyone, anywhere. It's just going to make you hyperventilate at some point, and you think you're having a result because you're fucking about to die. So it's not really beneficial. It's not the ancient techniques and the lineages of true traditions. So you can learn that, and then there'll be like ritualistic ceremonial things you could do, ways to build an altar, how to use blood and you can't do that. I won't be able to do that.
Yeah, MasterCard will be like, no.
Yeah, they will let me. But you can use semen and reproductive fluids, ways to move through the 7 tissues of the body. Well, move reproductive fluid through the 7 tissues. You probably could do stuff
do things with blood as long as you weren't charging for them. Because it's the credit card processors that stop that shit.
But menstrual blood is so powerful.
Right. But I'm saying you could do content with blood, you just couldn't charge for it.
Well, no, they'll take it down because blood is considered.
Well, if you're going through if you're doing your own site, no.
The site is going to be like a real site. It's like an actual site.
Yeah, for an actual site. No, you could definitely have it there as long as you're not charging for it. It's the credit card processors that stop that shit. That's why OF and all those places restricted, is because MasterCard and Visa were like, nope.
Huh.
There's nothing stopping you from if it's your own fucking site.
We'll have to work on that. I would ideally love to show people how to use, and here's the thing is they can go in with and hopefully their intention will be high in this face of true divinity and to liberate their partner. If you go in with other intentions, I'm not responsible for your outcome. But then I would just say be a voyeur and watch, because then you could it's pretty hot. It'll be hot and horny and heavy and beautiful, but also like magical and mystical and hypnotizing and may trigger you. Like a lot of people are just bored with the same old. I know not everyone, but they would like to see more. If they're going to be sexual, they want to see a sexual ritual. They want to see a lot of people want to see more.
Oh,
that I know. Like, show me something besides this. Where can I go to see like some magical ritual of love? With the hot sex, but very different. And then like some will be like these practices where you sit. So there's a tantric form of Ganesh called Uchista Ganapati. And those practices are Parvati and Ganesh. And they're like ways so there's something called Vajroli, where it teaches men how to be more potent.
In what sense?
Well, it teaches you how to hold your seed. And on the superficial level, be a better lover. on a deeper level, how to use your fluids to build your auric field, ojas, and like to bring. So ojas is like the glow you have. It's the moon. It's the soma. It's ways to make you more bright and shiny, and possibly not rot after death. Literally, like leave your body when you choose to. These practices through all these things can teach you these things through building tejas and ojas and building to states of Amrita. I'm sure you've heard of Amrita. Amrita is like the elixir of immortality, and people think that it's pussy juice, but it's not. It's the reproductive fluid is the starting point. So I'm going to teach practices that will literally teach you how to move into states of Amrita. There'll be some yoga, naked yoga, so everything will be on there. You can choose categories whether you want to like learn or you just want to watch. So like you have one stop of everything. The only thing you won't see is meaningless or frivolous sexual practices without some kind of really deep intention or meaning. And, and I don't recommend you can always fast forward. Why would you do that? You can go somewhere else and watch just someone stick a dick in a pussy.
What do you consider meaningless sex?
I'm a pizza man, and here I'm going to fuck you now. Like, I mean, it's not meaningless. It's just you can find it anywhere in the net.
Oh yeah, no.
So mine might be here's some sensual. We're going to use all these different foods to represent the elements, and then we're going to use them in a way that we can meditate into them or use them in a way like they'll be like Kama Sutra type of stuff. So it will have a Kama Sutra kind of vibe. The 64 arts of the Kama Sutra will not do all of them because some of them are literally like needlepoint, and some of the arts of the Kama Sutra are completely not sexual at all or not sensual, but it will be sensuous and ecstatic. And people who might come in for one reason might stay because they really just have a desire to be closer to Devi, that one sense of self-realization. They might stay because they feel even for a moment, what it feels like to truly be connected to source. Because your whole life changes. Literally every single thing changes when you wake up Kundalini. It's like Kundalini Shakti, basically, or when that spark begins, like it can be it's cathartic and also be tumultuous. It can put you through a lot of changes, but inevitably bringing you to states of just true joy in everyday things like the sun, the moon, the clouds, and just to see life and everything. It's just a profound, beautiful experience. And we can't waste our lives. Like we're not here for very long. It's a speck of time.
Oh yeah.
We're here for a speck of time.
And none of it's promised. So
true.
Pre-pandemic already thought 5-year plans are bullshit because you have no idea where you're going to be in 5 years.
I agree.
And then like just hammered that point. It was like the millions of people who died, all of them didn't plan to be dead because of this. It's like, why are you not living your life right fucking now?
It's true.
Oh, well, I'm going to do that next year. I'm going to do that in 5 years. Like, why put it off?
I agree.
You got to do things when you can and without hesitation. Because absolutely none of it's promised. My audience has heard this, but like a old friend of mine died in a car accident back in September. It's like fucking 45. I'm sure he had thought he had plenty of time.
And there's been some really weird stuff going on too. A good friend of mine, and then there's I in my own personal life, I've seen people getting sick lately. I have my theories on some of that stuff, and I'll keep that to myself. But just really sudden and weird.
Oh yeah,
suddenly dropping dead. But anyway. So our goal is to live in the now, and of course, some things have to be honed. You know, like hey, if you're building something really amazing, it has to be honed. It's going to take a little time to get there. It won't be maybe the second. But the idea is that you're always in process of it and that you're always enjoying the now. We're always present and enjoying the now. Right. Never shitting on the present.
Right.
You know?
Never forsaking the present for something that may or may not happen.
Yeah. Or not accepting the present for what it is and its beauty at the moment. I mean, I know that's not an easy practice in every regard. It sounds hokey, but there's a weird connection. I mean, I just rescued a dog, and so for me, animal stuff is a big trigger for me. And I'm like, okay, well, I know the practice teaches me that to see in a bigger level that there's some kind of divine thing in there anyway. And I had a dream. He told me where he lived. It was by a river, and there were mounds of sand and kids playing. And I know exactly where he lives because he told me in a dream. It's very easy for me to connect with animals, and it's like anyway. So, but anyway, the idea was that I had to like accept the fact and not go into this whole rampage of emotion around the fact that how could you dump your animal? Because it's not going to solve anything. And so I'm like, we have to just keep seeing the bigger picture of how cosmic energy works and do my part.
For sure.
Otherwise, I'm going to get lost in the emotion of it, and it's not going to solve anything. You know?
I agree.
It's not easy.
It's one of those things where, like, I really wish more people would take a step back and really think about children, animal ownership, all that shit, like the responsibility of it. It's so fucked to take in an animal and be like, oh, it shat on the carpet. I'm going to, abandon it now. Like, no, this is what you fucking signed up for.
I know, and I'm a huge animal lover, so now I have to go. I brought the dog. Now I'm going to get the dog. The whole thing with the dog. Now I'm taking the dog back, and because I can. But the point I guess is that for me to have such a hard opinion about it, kind of limits me because then I'm not really. I can't keep ascending because I'm so stuck on how could everyone do this, and so I'm like, you know what? Well, some people can. All I can do is my part to change frequencies in the world that won't keep happening. But like it's like a big. So you look for your triggers. Those are your best teachers. But please, Goddess, no more trigger. No, I'm good with the animals. Do not. Please don't bring me any more animals. I have a huge property, but please. But anyway, because the animals like they're very conscious, and everything. We're part of every plant. I don't eat anything. What we put in our bodies actually has a huge, profound ability. Our awareness is really tied into a lot of what we eat. Unfortunately, sorry, everybody, but it is. So, even becoming more conscious of what we're putting in our bodies as I'm drinking. I love it. Because it all turns into spiritual digestion inevitably. So, and of course, obviously, I don't eat animals at all. And I have a community in my home, and some people eat animals. They eat meat. I don't stop them from doing what they do, but inevitably, it's like there is when you're the awareness, you start to think like, what is this?
I think factory farming is gross as shit.
Yeah,
and I do eat meat. It's absolutely gross as shit. But on a natural level, life eats life.
True.
Your animals definitely eat other animals.
Yes, and I let them do that. I don't stop them. I don't give them vegan food.
Right.
But for as beings that are conscious, we can make choices. So
well, no, we can definitely make choices.
Yeah.
And I don't see anything wrong on a moral level of eating meat, life, but the fact that like the meat has to suffer for me to consume it sucks.
So being aware of where it comes from, being aware of it's farmers, local, or
if I can, and I'm really bad about this because I'm not in a tax bracket to make those choices at times.
You need to live on a farm. If you live out in the middle of nowhere,
I am such an urban.
All your neighbors like bring you stuff. It's really great.
I am such an urban kid. I like cities so much. But what happened a couple of years ago, I actually really offended some friends of mine about this. I was in Cuba in 2017, and our hosts, to thank us for the stay, and we took a bunch of photos of their property to improve their Airbnb. They're like, we want to have a pig roast for you. I wake up on Sunday morning, there is a live pig in the courtyard.
Oh, hell no.
And they asked us, like, would one of you want the honors of helping us butcher the pig? And I had never done anything like that. And in my mind, it's like, I'm being dishonest with someone who consumes meat if I am not willing to actually see how the sausage is made, as it were.
Right, for you. Yeah. I practice non-harm, so I wouldn't do it. But for what you're saying, I get it. Yeah. I get it. Yeah, like, I get it.
If I can only consume meat if it comes nicely shrink wrapped.
Right, if you can't do it yourself. No, I see what you're saying. I see where you're going with this.
Yeah, a lot of people were really offended that like I went through. I'm like, no, it would have been rude to our hosts who asked us like who wants the honor of doing this, and it would be dishonest as someone who eats meat to be like, oh, I only need it if it comes nicely packaged for me.
Yeah, I'd have been like, no, I would have gotten out of it in some graceful way, saying basically that ahimsa, not harm.
Right. Oh no, for
sure. I just leave not harm. But as somebody who does eat it, and I hope that you prayed and did all the magical because they're scared.
Oh no, like
I feel bad for the pig.
I'm not gonna get into.
I feel bad for everything. You can't even hurt. I can't even hurt anything. Like
I'm not gonna.
Humans are different.
I'm not gonna get into the gross details of it, but like I don't regret doing it. I wish I'd done it better, but I don't regret.
Your first slaughter.
It was my first slaughter, and like I could tell it was scared, and it was not. But
I just rescued a dog. I'm still recovering from that. Please, no more animals.
I'm sorry.
It's so. I know, but I have to learn that. That's part of the practice of everything. Is like learning that emotions come and go. It's like being the observer. Okay, I may feel this way about it, and I can make choices, but I don't have to get lost in the emotion. This is what all humans do. Everyone's lost in the emotion of everything, and it becomes a story. But we don't have to get lost there, and it gives us feelings of separation and depression that we don't realize we're part of. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, actually, I'm glad you said that because again, it's another opportunity for me to say. How am I gonna get lost in the sadness of that? Because I'm glad I didn't see it. because I probably would have been a mess.
Oh, a couple people that were there with my group like went inside. They're just like, I'll let me know when it's done.
But they eat meat.
Oh yeah,
that is hypocritical.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like this animal is giving its life up for us to eat it.
If you're gonna go hide in the house, actually, I see that it's even worse. That you couldn't, But man, I would have grabbed the pig and run away. Y'all been fucked. That'd be like, where'd the pig go? I'm like, I have no idea what happened to the pig. No clue.
It's just running the streets of Havana.
I'd have it in my van. And I'd take it home. I'm going to have like 1 million animals. I mean, I would. There's no way I could hurt the pig.
This was in Cuba, so you would have to have smuggled it back to the States.
I figured out something. I'm a crafty little thing. I would have figured out something. Trust me, if I set my mind to something, it's going to take place. Especially if it's in helping an animal or anything else.
You land back in America and you tell customs, this is my emotional support pig.
I would. Totally. Or I'd be his emotional support, right? But there is left-hand rituals, even in Tantra. Like there's a place in India called Kamakya, which is like a very divine, one of the ultimate divine goddess temples. Kamakya, she's people are very scared of her. A lot of them are, there's a lot of things with imagery with blood and the Divine Mother's blood and menstrual blood, the power of using that sacred fluid and all these things. And they still do animal sacrifices. Same thing with so also 64 yoginis, which is the lineage that I am pretty loyal to. Kala 64 Yogini and Sri Vija. And there is still to this day. And it's one thing, and I have a mentor in India, and she's like, you have to learn, like, when you learn not to have, I'm like, I don't know, that's just where I kind of draw the line. I'm like, I'm not going to do my ceremonies. there won't be anything with animals. It's just not going to happen. Humans are different. Not sacrificing humans. Wait, I don't know. That's going to be the whole thing again. Rumors all over Instagram.
You're like,
that I take off men's heads. It's not true. It's not true. There's some funny shit in my town. They literally believe this about there's a funny story about me that these men really believed. They were my friend who I was with. They were trying to get him away from me. They were trying to whisper at him. Because they were telling him that that I take men's heads and that he should be scared and he should get away from me. And he's like, dude, she's cool as fuck. And I'm like, no, shh. They were afraid I was going to hear them. It was a real story. This really happened. They were like not talking loud because that I could hear them. And the funniest shit was like an hour later, we went to another parking lot in town trying to find this place, and we were just sitting on the trucks in the dark, sitting there because it wasn't open, and they happened to drive by, and I was just sitting on the truck, like just sitting there like this, and they had a driver, and they must have been going, this was so surreal for them, because there I was just in the middle of a dark parking lot sitting there, and they had to drive by me, and of course I knew the story at that point, so I was just like, I didn't play into it, but anyway, so the point being is that, I do understand that there are left-hand rituals, because in India, like there's sex, there's like agoras, and they see everything as protons, neutrons, and electrons, which is what happens when you meditate enough and you go into states of samadhi. Things start to pixelate, and they do look like protons, neutrons, and it really becomes no form. First there's like I saw darkness, then I saw just no form. It was like it was this sense of all-permeating love, and you kind of leave your consciousness kind of like your womb, it like disconnects from the womb. Like there's a point here. There's a chakra between the two chakras. And this point here, it kind of disengages and goes, and you feel it, like this is what I feel when you go into these states, And in that place, it is like everything is not, well, at that point, it's not even, but they see everything as, so everything is neutral for them. They drink out of skulls. They worship in cremation grounds. They do things with dead bodies. In India, you can. And they see everything as equal, and they're sattvic. They're like all peaceful, but their practice is like they just don't see any differentiation between anything. But they've had their whole life of practices to get there. Drinking out of eating leftovers, eating dead flesh, whatever. Everything they can turn alchemize into something delightful. Like they can eat anything and take in anything and make it into pure energy because of their practices. So it's possible. No, none of us are like, I don't think I know anyone who's interested in doing that. That's very extreme.
Very much so.
10% of the world. But unless you
want
to try it, we can go to India. I do know an agora there. If you want to check it out, maybe next week.
Maybe
we'll revisit the topic later.
Well, speaking of
we should probably do a mushroom trip here first.
Yeah, let's see how that goes before we part for international travel together
and go to the cremation grounds.
Yeah,
but it's all it's all to become closer to goddess, and it's all for divine. But on the left-hand path is also where there are sexual rituals. So that's the point of building this site called Tantrica with an X, is that we can find the spiritual sexual energy. So practices, rituals, ceremonies, sexual, like divine love play, Kama Sutra techniques, breath work, solo, so I'll hire a professional. It'll be all actors in the industry and actresses, and they will love it too. I feel the right ones will come to me because they're doing a sex scene and getting paid, but they're also really learning valuable techniques that you really can't find on the internet because most people don't know these techniques. If you Google it, no one really knows them. They're very coveted practices that are not obvious to the general public.
So when a performer performs to the site, are you going to like have them run them through a class before the scenes? And
good question. That's such a great question. You are a profound being because I hadn't thought about it, but maybe an option of maybe learning a little bit first if they're not into it, because I have courses online. I have classes for many things that would help. If they don't feel like doing all that, then it's not a prerequisite. I would just have them in the temple because they'll shoot at my temple. And the minute you walk into the temple, your frequency changes because it's supercharged in that way. I mean, I do chanting in there every single. When you walk in my temple, you could see it online. I have a huge red temple. I don't know if you saw it on my Facebook, my Instagram, and when you walk in, it's like a dimensional shift. You're immediately like, whoa! You change the frequency from 3D world matrix into like a higher another realm. So it's immediate. You'll feel it. Also, it's in the middle of nowhere, and there's just nature everywhere, and it's really like it's intense. It's beautiful, and so. They can just meditate there for a little while before we shoot, or they can have the option to learn some things ahead of time, or I could just teach them what they're going to do for that scene. Like, I don't want to make everyone have to come in. Like, it's not like there's like this like prerequisite. You have to learn my techniques. Like they're not mine. They're actually they belong to gurus way before me. Many gurus that I'm very grateful to the lineage to even be shared with me. So, but I'll leave it optional. But some of the performers I have in mind, I have 2 people in mind already. I know them both too. They don't even know that I'm thinking this right now. Well, maybe they do if they're psychic. I'll go to them. But
your phone will ring.
One of them, it probably just did. I swear, great mother. But one of them, he's often sharing about wanting deeper connection on the internet. He's often sharing, and I see shares, and so I'm like, man, it's when you think of it too. I'm like, man, and he would love this. You know, he would love this. It's just something that will change the way you relate to the opposite sex, the way you relate to people, the way you see relationships, the way you see partnerships. It pretty much changes everything. Like, I don't know. You don't, after a while, you don't seek love. I'm single right now. I'm not seeking love. I'm not seeking a person to complete me or love. I'm not saying my Shiva can't come in. If he, I'd know if my Shiva was here, you know, but I'm not seeking it anywhere else.
Well,
it doesn't.
I'm of the opinion that never anyone should be seeking someone to complete them.
People do though.
Oh, they do. It's toxic as shit. You should be a complete person.
But they don't know how, but no one, if you don't have methods, how do you know? Someone has to show you ways to find that in yourself. People don't have the tools, you know? That's what this is.
I don't think people are asking the right questions. They're just
because they don't know the questions.
Fair. I mean, no one educated me. I just through life experiences went,
right.
I don't want to complete someone. I want to have a partner, not a child. I don't want to have to complete someone. You know, I want someone who is a self-sufficient person who has their own fucking life, and we come together to do something awesome. Not
yes.
Oh, you complete me. No, I'm a complete motherfucker.
You're a complete motherfucker, right? And you're fine, and you're okay, and you're good. Not even okay. That's not fine. Okay, you're feeling whole or loved on your own. Yeah. There's a sense of, so that's what it comes down to. Do you feel like instead of seeking love that you just have a lot of love to give? So in the divine compassion, divine love, discriminating wisdom, these facets are just that you feel like you have more. I feel like for me, I feel like everyone's my child. Not in an egotistical sense, more like it helps me have the ultimate sense of compassion and love. If somebody does something really fucked up, I can be like, well, you know what? I don't have to be part of that, but I can see it as a divine mother energy. It helps you to release that so you don't have trauma and build regret. I mean, what's the word? Not vengeance, but animosity or states of like that's the word I'm looking for, but you know what I'm saying? So where you get to the point where you have something to give and, and there's really no seeking anymore. And it's a really beautiful place to be. But so it'll give people that maybe they'll feel that sense of things. And then I'll probably I'll do some porn too, for sure. I'm totally I don't want to say porn. I will do this sex magic as well. So some of the solo ones that I have in mind, I'm going to do. And it's going to be it turns into a masturbation at some point, but you learn how to hold the pranayama so that the energy moves up to give you like immortality, oneness with unity with divine goddess or God, that inside yourself, freedom and liberation from like bondages or limitations or traumas and disassociation. And it removes like years. So you can have they say Kundalini is the energy in the spine. It's a force in the spine that you can rise to states of higher divine consciousness. So 1.5 turns of Kundalini in the spine with practices is better than 3-4 years of talking therapy. That's how powerful the practices are. And the breath, prana, moving prana through your system removes traumas, past life. We bring in karmas with us from past lives too. So we bring in all these things, and the movement of this energy can dissipate even the past life things we brought in, ancestral, everything can remove those things. It does, actually, it literally does. It just becomes a freedom. So they have those options to learn that. What are you gonna ask?
Well, I'm curious, like speaking of past lives and stuff like that. Like, where in these beliefs, where do you go when you die? Like, how do the past lives come in? Like, are you an ancestor reincarnated? Like, what is the belief system here?
That depends. So you have each lifetime we have an opportunity to liberate, to reach these states, so that at some point you learn how you can leave your body, like saints and Sikhs and sadhaks do. You can leave it, like Paramahansa Yogananda, for example, and his guru Vivekananda, and Sri Mukteswar, like all of these gurus, they left their bodies at will. They had a lifetime of practices, and it was this lifetime for them to do it. But they literally chose their time. They used their prana, yama, and they left. Their bodies didn't rot. There's evidence of this. You could look up Paramahansa Yogananda. The body never rotted. It just stayed in this pristine state. He told you when he was going to go. He's done. He's not going to have to come back here and live again. So he has learned how to become immortal. He doesn't have to come back and keep reincarnating. So if you are at that state, and eventually you'll keep coming back until you get to that state, and it depends on, I guess, where you are. And you're like, to me, it's fascinating, and I'm going to learn it.
Right.
I don't know that at this moment, couldn't say I could do it today, but I will. And so depending on where you are at your time of death or your time of transition, I think determines what happens in the next life. If you die traumatically or shockingly, or you just didn't want to go, or you're caught in a vortex of space and time in particular, like or you're in a place where there's already a lot of spirits strongly concentrated, and you don't know where the light is. I think it depends. You get stuck, and that's what spirit moving around this realm, they're stuck, or someone's holding on to them. So there's practices in India. Here's another thing they do, and so these are the Odiyas. When somebody passes away, they're Kali devotees. They cut the body into tiny pieces. They chop it. They take the children with them. They cut the body into little tiny pieces. And they take him out. And they tell the children, cut the body, release the attachment so that your ancestor or your divine auntie, whatever, can transcend. If you hold on too tightly, they can't go, or they'll stay for you. So they literally chop it up and do a ritual to release. They also use sexual practices if they're a left-hand tantric sect, but they're sattvic, meaning they harm nothing. They're like pure, they don't even hurt like a spider, But they chop bodies. So it's paradoxal. But the practice is paradoxal.
At that point, it's a body. It's not.
Right.
It is no longer a person.
They don't harm anything. They chop bodies up.
Well, no, because that's not harm.
But it might sound, yeah, exactly.
That is a thing at this point. Like, that is no longer that is meat. Like,
yeah, the soul, when the soul leaves.
Yeah.
You gotta give it 2.5 days because the soul's still, yeah.
Yeah. There's, on a moral level, this sounds really fucked up, there's no real actual difference between chopping up a body and destroying this table. Like, they're both inanimate objects at that point.
Like, yeah, but slightly, as long as the sheaths have all, like, yeah, you have to wait because there is a process of the way the body moves, unless they left on their own. But yeah, I see what you're saying. Yes, in other words, yeah. So it's not considered a violent act; it's considered a release of the energy to let the person ascend.
For sure.
Yeah. So like,
the societal norms are what would people would frown on that. It's like whoa.
Yes. Because our culture has a limited sense, not our culture as a whole, but Western spirituality, or I don't know exactly what it is. It's not because Tantra is a science. It's a technology and a science. It has Ayurvedic medicine. It's a science. Their practices are scientifically proven to change energy frequencies, to wake up DNA, dormancy, and they leave their body at will. That's pretty good proof that this works, and that's not what we're all going to do. But anyway, but in Western, they see the mind body as two separate entities.
Yeah.
They don't realize that it's all one system. Like it's the mind, heart, these work together. The emotions, it all works together. It's one entity. So they're like piecemealing, and they don't understand psychic ability because they don't understand that we're not just this, what you see. To understand how things really work, in the scientific realm of like the unseen, science can prove this. Energy, like you can talk to a plant and you could say do different things. And the water experiment with Dr. Hiroshima, I forgot his name, but he did the water experiment a long time ago where the molecules were different from what you spoke, the mantra you said. Like there's unseen power.
Well, and even internally, it's been proven like placebo effect is real.
Yes.
The fact that enough belief can actually affect how your body reacts to things.
That's true. That's why we have to say loving things, spread love, tell our plants we love them. It's like that's the point. And it sounds so hokey because if you don't really feel it in your soul and you're doing it, it's contrived and it won't heal you. We can't bypass. There's also this whole thing, especially where I live, because I live in it's a realm of like. Whenever you have a spiritual place, you have everything that goes along with it, including some really funky ass shit. Like everything comes there. Everyone's 20-year-olds have all the answers to like relationship coaching, and they're ascended masters, and they are like it's quite entertaining. But the thing, what was I getting the point with that about? What was I going? There was a point with that.
What
was the point? What was
on the placebo internal?
No. There was something else there. I forgot what it was. Oh, I forget. Anyway, I don't remember what it was anymore.
It's all good.
Forget it. But anyway, there is, the point B, bypassing. Oh my God. So everyone's like, yeah, I'm cool. Like I'm they have no practice. They have no discipline. They have no teachers. You have to have teachers in this game. Like at some point, things get really ambiguous and it's really, really elusive. The practices, without a teacher, someone you trust, you have to have faith in someone because you really can't learn on your own. It's meant to be that way. It's meant to be in parables and allegories, and so that it doesn't really get into the wrong. I mean, it's really important. So, and if it's not Vedic, if they're not studying Tantra, whatever they're studying, they still have no source of they never studied or researched or had a teacher or meditated. So they're always like, yeah, I'm cool. I've got it. And we're just going to be chill. We don't want to deal with all that. We're poly because we're, and everyone's, I'm like, but they're bypassing. They've never really gone deeply into their soul of, bless you, spirits in the room.
Well, I don't know about you. When I was in my 20s, especially my early 20s, I thought I knew fucking everything.
True.
Did you?
Yeah. No, I was deeply into I had a lot of issues and problems, but I was also deeply into this world of occultism, where I was always, because I was taking substances when I was really young. That was my teenage years. And I lived in LA. That's why everything here is really, I've seen everything through being high, traveling for nights and days at a time with no sleep, seeing going into the depths of what's really going on here under the earth here. There's a lot going on in the city. It's intense. But Echo Park, downtown LA, there's a lot of really other beings. You are not alone. Let me tell you something. You are not alone here. That is for damn sure. I've seen it all. But anyway, the point of that was no, I didn't think I knew it all because I was really deeply into this weird cosmic consciousness, but I was high. So no, I didn't think I knew it all. I just was I couldn't even relate to anybody hardly. I would just do candle magic for hours and talk to spirit world and do tarot cards. Back then it was tarot cards. Yeah, it was a really interesting experience. But what's your point? Yes, I think you're saying yes. Usually you think you know it all.
Yeah, a lot.
If you're not doing what I was doing.
What?
Talking to spirits all the time. All the time. All the time. It was a fine line at that point. But now it's much more grounded.
Good.
When it really wasn't very grounded because of
and that I'm sure came with
Scientology was really popular.
Was?
Oh yeah, it was like you weren't here then.
No, but I'm saying it still is.
Well, it used to be all over, like literally, like it was uniforms. It all of a sudden blew up, and it was like they had the sailor outfits, and I have no judgments, but
they're still here.
Was all up and down Hollywood Boulevard.
They're still here,
and there was centers. They would come outside and say, "Hey, do you want to do a test?"
Yeah,
it was. I mean, it was like everywhere. Those suits, the little blue suits, were everywhere.
Oh, I used to live my first LA apartment was right by the big one over on Sunset. Like in East Hollywood. They used to go door to door, like in my apartment building, like fucking Jehovah's Witnesses.
I never experienced that.
Yeah, like
the boulevard.
Every once in a while, like I'd get a door knock and it would be a Scientologist being like, "Hi, neighbor." It's like, can I fucking help you? It was, the Scientology is still very fucking prevalent.
Well, they're more low key now, for sure.
A little.
Like when this is like in the early. I remember when it was like it was just. I mean, they literally had outfits, and it was everywhere. The boulevard just blew up with all these it looked like sailor suits, and they just would go all up and down the boulevard and try to. And it was a wild time. But yeah, I know it's still there, but it's just not. But that's even more like insidious because now it's more hidden. But anyway, so this city is kind of trippy in that regard. But it's a really powerful place. LA is a very powerful place. What's going on here in a hidden sense?
Oh, for sure. I also
does that come through?
I have a theory about Scientology.
Okay.
That in 100 years, like at least if they continue on the course that they're on, in 100 years they will probably be a dominant religion, just because, at least in America, we're so celebrity obsessed, and they have more celebrities just outwardly being Scientologists than almost any other religion.
But they also have a lot of celebrities debunking. But that just gives them publicity too. You could debunk things and it doesn't. People are looking for a sensation. If you're looking for outward sensationalism, then obviously it's rampant. You just TVs everywhere. It's really it's not really great. I mean, I see what you're saying. They're looking for the something that makes them feel like it's exciting and it's famous and.
Well, and they also do things like offer free acting classes to up and coming actors.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's how they get people into the church show. They offer free acting classes. They offer like resources for up and coming artists, and indoctrinate them into the church that way. I
had an interesting experience with Scientology. I didn't know she was one. I was at Trader Joe's. This is when I was really young too. And I was just like getting nuts and berries or whatever I was doing. This is actually, I was on this show for Playboy called Threesome, like where they had me talk about, it was like set up that I was going to have a threesome, but they didn't want me because I was a witch. At that time, it was like we were playing up the whole witch thing, which I don't relate to that term anymore. And so I said it on the show too, like we're having nuts and berries. And the whole thing was that they were religious and I was, so anyway, it was a funny show. It was called Three-Way or something. Anyway, in the real world, I shared it on that show too. This couple came to me in Trader Joe's, and at the time I was like ready to just do whatever. It was like that was when I was also using, and we wound up going home and like having this crazy threesome, and doing drugs and all these things. God, that was like a million years ago. And then like the next day she like left Scientology books all over her. She's like, you should come over and hang out. I'll be right home. But when I got there, she wasn't there and she left like Scientology books all over the bed. And like, and in my head, I was thinking, gosh, she does not know even then I'm like, there's no way you're going to influence me. There was a lot of influences, like weird things back then around my life. I was 19, but still there's no way you're going to, that's just not me. But anyway, as I was looking at what they say is actually like, there's really great, like what they say is really amazing, but what they're doing with it is not. It's not in the states of higher consciousness and love. It's not to bring all one love unity. It's for.
I'm assuming it's like most religions where there's a lot of people involved with good intentions.
Yeah. If you're in there for the right reason, then I don't care what you're honoring.
Right. There's probably some people that are not there with the best intentions. And you look at any other organized religion, it's the same way.
Yeah.
There's people that believe, people that practice, that are there with the best intentions, are the best people. And then there are other people who are like, oh, this is an opiate for the masses, and I can use this to gain power, control, whatever they're trying to get out of life.
That's what I love about Tantra too. Nobody's doing that. Like nobody uses that for those purposes. You couldn't, because you'd have to figure out what it's about first. I mean, but it's for liberation and freedom, but it's not been debauched. I really love that. Not that, and I mean, I think everything everyone practices, it could be, I don't care what it is. I think everything is beautiful if you're doing it for that reason. Like you said, I have no issue with anything. But I remember they were trying to like push me in. Like I've never gone door to door telling people they should study the science of Tantra.
No, we're just on the internet. We're just on the internet talking about it instead.
Well, we are. But again, it's magnetic as opposed to like I'm not out there preaching about it, and I'm gonna make a tantric porn site. So that's exciting to everyone. I'll keep it right.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like since the fires, like my nose has been constantly fucking running.
Yeah, because there's like so much going on.
Yeah, so much up in the air. It's like triggering some fucking allergies. It's obnoxious.
Yeah, it'll clear out.
Yeah, eventually. Or I'll get horrible cancer. Either or. One or the other.
That's not going to happen. Do the practices.
What are
It's not going to happen. No, you are blessed. And that's something affirming that, There's mantras for that,
To get cancer?
There's mantras to actually keep you healthy. There's seed syllables that actually can change your frequency, even as far as even divine radiant health. There's like seeds. So for example, like there's things like Kleem, Hreem, Haum, Hum, some roots of Shiva, like different things that actually, roots of Kali, that can actually like clear depression, Gam, which is a root for Ganesh. So there's various seed syllables you can say, with Om, of course, being the ideal one. Well, depending on your doshas. But that will, if you repeat them enough, will change your frequency and actually bring you health too.
Well,
literally.
I think a lot of that is a lot of mind over matter also. Like
right, but it's Sanskrit, and there's like, and so they're words that have been in the ethers for like thousands and thousands of years and repeated by so many gurus and so many people, so many highly evolved ascended masters, that it really holds a really intense. And also there's like, so Om being the vibration of the universe, there's a purpose that word Om, it opens up certain frequencies or channels that connect you to the all one source. So there's like some real, and yeah, of course your belief system matters, but there's some real power in those things. Kleem, that's Kamadev too. So it's good for your love life, actually.
I'm sure if
Kleem,
someone is saying the mantras, but they don't actually believe, it won't have the same effect.
Then why would you say them?
Well, because
but it actually would. If you did 108 every day for a month, but didn't believe shit, at the end of that, you'd be a believer. I guarantee you. I mean, I'm not saying you have to do this, but I mean, even without, I mean, if there's no devotion, of course, not the same effect, but oh yeah, there's no way it wouldn't change. No way. I would back that 100%, 99.9%. I'm going to take a challenge on that. I'm going to find somebody who totally doesn't believe and see if they're willing to take 108, which on the mala, and see where they're at the end. What a beautiful thought. But yeah, anyway, but yes, maybe it'll be you. After we go to India and we drink from skulls.
Well, okay. Are we drinking from skulls when we get to India or before we go to India?
When we get to India.
Okay.
I don't think it's favored here.
Probably not.
So we'd have to do it in India with the people, they'd have to first allow us into their world. We'd have to Om Namah Shivaya, and we'd have to have permission, and then we can proceed. We're not going to do that.
How much time have you spent in India already?
Here's another magical and strange thing. So 3 times, I'm supposed to be going to the Himalayas in 2 weeks.
Nice.
To study with my gurus there. And I was supposed to go in December to India, and one of my teachers there has it all set up to go to Kamakya, to the Kali Temple, 64 Yogini. My whole trip is set, and then something has been happening every time that has stopped it. So apparently it's not quite yet, but this Himalaya trips is in Nepal, at an ashram in Nepal, and they are really profound practitioners. And so my goal is to get there, but the person I'm supposed to go with canceled.
Oh, that's
and I'm not feeling like I really want to travel there alone. I mean, obviously I'm going to cover up and, do things, but it's not really, it's from what I've been told, it's really not a great idea for me to go by myself. I should have somebody with me.
Probably.
So especially my first time, like, do I just balls to the wall, not balls to the wall, vulva to the wall and just, and do it? Or should I just be a little more, pragmatic, or just wait until the ideal partner or person comes with me? Because I don't know. I don't think it's a good idea. So.
What's the hesitation? Why do you think it's not a good idea?
Well, because from everything I've been told, including people who live there, it's not a good idea as a woman to go there alone.
Okay.
Yeah. And my friend who's also been there, a soul sister of mine, she's had people try to, come up on her, and she was with somebody too. And everyone had pretty much just the consensus is you don't want to travel by yourself, especially the first time. Once I'm comfortable, maybe I will. I have mentors there, and I'm going to stay with them and study, and we're making a documentary about it. We're going to film the whole thing, all the temple, as much as we can, without being respectful. But we're going to film all the journey through Kamakya, through the Yogini temples, all the.
Well, if you have a crew there with you, you wouldn't be by yourself.
Yeah, but the crew is the one who canceled.
Oh,
you could do it. That my friend Maddie was supposed to do it, and then I guess the timing got changed. Now he can't go. But that's the idea and at the ashram too, is to film some of the the journey around these, and to bring to the Western world these magnificent temples. They're powerful. Even just there's transmissions that come with just seeing, even, or feeling, or or bringing transmissions back. And with touch, Shaktipata, there's ways to transmit this stuff. Those are real energy exchanges. Yeah. But in the film, I'm gonna see if I can reenact certain temples, because my whole house is there's goddess idols or statues, which are mirtis, which are they're living with energy frequency, but all over the temple. And so I think the first one's going to be a man that I have in mind, if he's down, and then a female I have in mind, and then I'll do a solo thing, and then I'll do another scene where I am guiding them and doing it as a guide with them, and then we'll see what else I'm going to do after that. And then I have one for women, a group of women. I made this scene called Kama Sutra for Adult Time.
Yep, with Jane Cole and
yeah, and it was no deep. It wasn't. It was more aesthetic. It wasn't. Right. We didn't go into any really deep practices, but they utilized. They edited it, so I don't know what they took out. I never watched it. I don't watch my scenes. I haven't watched any of my scenes. I don't watch them. It's totally. I don't know. I just don't watch them.
Why not?
I don't know. It's totally true. I don't know. I have to go to a place of complete equanimity and not because you're gonna. I just I don't know if I don't. I just don't watch them.
You've never had a hot scene where you're I kind of want to revisit.
No, I don't watch them. I don't watch any of them. I created that one. I never watched it. I just saw the little clips they put up.
I mean, you were the director on it.
I know. I didn't watch it.
Well, that's kind of crazy that you were the director and you had no input on the edit.
I had no edit. And also they took the title of it and they used it in a compilation, and they called it Kama Sutra, and they put a bunch of directors on it of different people. And it was I'm excited to do stuff for my own stuff too. I'm grateful they loved it and they used it, but I would like to be able to have a little more control over it creatively, to make sure it's consistent with what's happening.
Well, yeah, instead of just being the director on the box, actually being the director.
Getting to or editing it to where it's still making sense.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I'm going to use that same Kama Sutra, but with actual real, how they get to these states of orgasmic bliss, how you get to those states of orgasmic bliss. What is the, so it's going to be so really sexy. I just have to get everyone to come to Arizona to film. But it's pretty enticing to come there. Ariel X already said that she'd come.
Nice.
I messaged her because she's so sexy and hot and beautiful, and and I think she'd be great to film. But anyway, so yeah, I'm excited about it. But I think it's probably 6 months before it's up. It's gonna be called Tantrica. Nice. X.
When is the plan to actually start production?
So what I plan is when I go home tonight or whatever, tomorrow is to start messaging some performers. My right palm is itching. I got money coming. It's completely itching right now, a lot. I think I know what it is too. I can feel it. Anyway, so what I was saying was I think I'm going to start messaging them tomorrow, the two people I have in mind, and then see what we can work out. And then also I have to pay for their travel. And everyone's welcome to stay in the temple when they film, because I have rooms. I have so there. And each room has a theme. There's the Kama room, which is of course, Kama Dev or love. And there's the Rasa room, which is that divine, that essence of the flavor, of the taste, the Rasa. The institute's called the Rasa. My institute my plan is to have institutes all over the place for people to go in spiritual revelation and to honor and you know, like kind of like Paramahansa Yogananda. It's open to everyone. You don't have to believe in any one thing. You just can go there and learn techniques of Kriya, meditation. So my goal is to have them everywhere, and I will. But and then there's other rooms they could say there's the Kali temple, there's the Dakini room, which are these divine, like the Dakinis are divine, like they're like yoginis, highly wise spiritual tantrics who know all the methods and all the methodology and all the ways of Tantra. And so like I'm gonna offer them to stay there and like have an experience. And then also you can sit in the porch and meditate, and it's gonna be like going to take a porn scene and then realizing it's like this blissful, like complete mind, body, soul experience when they come there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm gonna feed them sattvic food or healthy food if they want it. Like they could do whatever they want. But those are just the perks if they desire to be in the bosom of Divine Mother and like share all these. It's just different than what they're used to shooting.
Oh, for sure.
And you're still gonna have sex. You're not gonna go home without that part.
Hopefully.
Oh no, they're gonna. Oh no, hopefully and then there's gonna be.
You're like, no, they're getting late.
And there's gonna be a group one too. I have an idea for a group one. Yeah. I'm excited.
Hell yeah.
About all of it. And you can come visit.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I have a place for anybody who wants to come visit, as long as they're cool.
Oh, I appreciate that.
And then that means they can leave with their head.
Yay. I like it where it is. Thank you.
Yeah. But honestly, I really extend that. If you ever come out to Arizona, you're welcome to come up and, just be.
I appreciate that. I may have to take you up on it. I'm in Arizona in years.
Oh, it's magnificent.
It's one of those things where, like, as I said, I'm a city kid, so it's just like being out in the desert's never anything that was like, oh, I'm going to go out of my way to do that. It's not, and I may be missing out. It's not like I'm opposed to it. It's just not like when I think of, hey, I have a free minute. This is what I'm going to go do.
You make a free minute. No, okay. If you're not into it, but I don't know. I mean, have you been out to the magical parts, northern Arizona?
So I've driven through them. I've spent a little bit of time in Flagstaff.
Yeah, Flag is kind of depressing. Flag. I don't know. Flag is a little dark. Not dark, but it's kind of. You should go down a little further.
Well, I drove down to Phoenix from.
Okay, no, you missed out. You didn't stop in the right places.
That's entirely true. I have not been educated.
There's a nook in there that you might really dig. And maybe you won't. Maybe you'll never go. But
well, I should at least experience it and find out for certain if I dig it or not.
I think it would be I can't even. There are no words to. And you'll meet the reptilian races for sure. You'll get it, and you'll start to kind of get a sense with feeling the divine Devi a little bit, like in you, and you come home even happier and more productive and even more successful than you were when you came.
I could definitely use that. Who couldn't use that? Shit.
Exactly, and and it's pretty groovy. But yeah, anyway, that's about all I have to say about that. Well, not really all, but. But I mean, it's a profound experience, and the land I live on is on ley lines. I've seen them in my mind's eye. My dreams, since I moved there, my dreams and my lucid dreams have been insane. And I saw these energetic lines in the property. They look like lightning bolts, so they're ley lines that move. And I'm like, what is this? So I looked it up on the internet, and it's a real thing. They're inconsistent ley lines or something. They're called something. And I've seen them move through. They like lightning through the entire property and the whole land. And they're powerful, and that magnetic frequency, whatever's charging under that earth, is transmitting to those of us that live there.
So, what made you decide to buy this property in the first place?
I knew everything. So during the pandemic, the minute the pandemic hit, I knew. I was just like, okay, separation, isolation, fear, all the right words were in place, and I was like, yeah, this is really contrived. This is not right. And I'm like, I'm not going to isolate. This is for sure. So I left Vegas. I lived in Vegas, and I went to Arizona, and I camped, and the place was on fire. Like everybody was camping. Everyone was hugging. Everyone was like, it was like nothing existed there. I was like, this is like some surreal fairy world. Like literally none of it was real there. And I thought, I'm moving back. I used to live there before. And I moved from LA to Northern Arizona to Vegas, then back to Northern Arizona. Okay. So the pandemic is what spawned it. And then when I got there, I heard, this is where you're going to build this institute. This is where you're going to do all the magic. And I opened a storefront, and I had Genzai Mystic Arts. And I did ceremonies and like rituals, and everybody, it was open to the public. It was a business. And it was great. We had such a great time, and all the hippies came, and we did ecstatic dance even, and it was great. And then I'm like, but I don't want to be in a storefront because I'm limited, because I can't have people stay over, and my neighbors are like hardcore. It was a barber shop, and they were hardcore Christian, which is fine. I think Christianity is amazing. I have no problem, but I think they kind of weren't. It always goes like that. We're open to everything, and then sometimes some people are not open to us. Oh, I'm open to every single thing. It embodies everyone. So anyway, then I was like, okay, so you have to find this land, and I saw it in my mind's eye. I saw what it would look like. And the way I found it was a trip. It wasn't listed. I was driving up a mountain, and I was like, man, I looked at one place. I'm like, this place isn't the right place. This road it was a bumpy road, really like kind of unobtainable to get to. And so I was like, no, I have to go a different way. And so I got to the top, and I told my friend, I go, the energy is all fuzzy here. Like whenever there's a portal or a vortex or a ley line, the energy for me I see around it is fuzzy. Everything looks like a fuzzy green. Like, you ever seen those fairy cards where the mounds are fuzzy and it's green, like Irish, Celtic,
like rolling fucking hills.
And everything is kind of fuzzy. Like there's no real distinctive lines around anything. And I saw fuzzy, and I was like, whoa, I see that fuzzy. This is amazing. This plateau is fuzzy vortex energy. And I was like, wow. And I looked over to my right, and I was like, that's a for sale sign by owner. It was a handwritten sign, and it said for sale. And it was a cowboy. And I was like, oh wow, I wonder if I could call this. I think I'll call this. Everything became a surreal moment. I should call this number. Okay. Hello? Yeah, how you doing? It was like a cowboy. Is this for sale? Is this you couldn't tell what it was from up top. I'm like, is this a house? And I was like, oh, but it's my price range. It's probably too much money. It was in my price range, lower than my price range.
Awesome.
And I couldn't see it from the street. It was like, it's out in the middle of like nowhere. And so he said he couldn't come that day, and I came back up. Why
was he selling?
His parents built it there, and then his mom had passed, and his dad was sick. So there was one owner, and they built it there, and they put it to where it would face the perfect sunrise and sunset. They did it on purpose, and it was their one home. And I said, don't worry, I'll take amazing care of it. And I got it like that, never listed on the internet. It would have been gone. It would have been gone. But there's more to the story that's really fucking weird, but I want to share it on camera. But because it's,
don't talk yourself.
Yeah. But that's my magical story, how I found it. And I knew I saw it in my mind's eye first. I knew it would be elevated. I knew that it would have a massive view. I knew it would be away from other humans. Because I really don't want neighbors, because it's sometimes just they can be nosy, or they could be interested, and unless you're interested in being part of it, I'd rather kind of like just be. So and I knew it was going to be like not on paved roads, and I didn't realize how far out it was going to be, but I knew immediately. It was my vision. Yeah,
that's awesome.
I really love it.
I definitely want to see it at some point.
You have to. And it's like so off the beaten path, and you're like, where am I going? When you ever go somewhere, you're like, what is this weirdness? And then you go to the clearing, and it's like, oh, I've had that happen before with places because there's a lot of hidden nooks in that area where you're driving, you're like, where is this? There's nothing here. And then you go into a clearing, and it's this ridiculous, like Midsummer's Night's Dream. My training is actually, I do a training there once a year, and that's on Midsummer's Night's Dream, which is also my birthday, June 23rd. In case anyone wants to say happy birthday. But anyway, so the point of the story being is that it's unbelievably magical, and that's why you should check it out. You can't deny the magic when you see it.
I will take you up on it. I will figure out a time to where I can get down there.
I mean, but in a big city, like you have people around you that are like, what are they gonna throw down? Are they gonna be there? Are they gonna like handle shit? No.
For the most part, in a major city, there's no sense of community. Like I've lived in this building for years. I barely know any of my neighbors. Hell, in the time I've been here, the people across the hall, those are the fourth or fifth across the hall neighbors. I barely know them.
Yeah.
There's just no community. I feel like if you're in smaller areas like that, you're kind of forced to have a community.
Or at least, everyone out there is pretty much like, they're gonna handle shit. Like they're not gonna like, if there's a situation, they're not gonna run away with their tail between their legs. They're gonna handle things. I mean, it's out in those countries. Everyone's, I may be politically correct, so I won't say it, but everybody's ready. Like they're all peaceful, but they're old school, and they don't when they're going.
They're prepared.
They're prepared. We're all prepared. There's nothing to prepare for because it's peaceful. But I like that it's like in a big city. Sometimes you feel like people are just looking for themselves and they're going to just like run away. And I like the idea that people are going to like stick it out and be there.
Well, like everything else in life,
handle shit.
None of it's guaranteed. Just because it's peaceful now doesn't mean it's going to be peaceful tomorrow. Doesn't mean it's going to be peaceful 2 years from now. It better
will be.
Hopefully, but there's no guarantees of that.
Oh, yes, there is. Because we'll make sure of it.
Right. Well,
no idea. Plus, it's like it's too far out for anyone to give a shit.
Right. But there's no guarantees of that, and it's better to be prepared for worst case.
To be
worst case scenario. Like the way I feel about firearms is, it's better to have one and not need it than need one and not have one.
I agree.
I did armed security for well over a decade. I've never wanted to shoot someone. If push came to shove and I had to. And it's not a fun feeling. But there's situations where like it almost happened. It may have come up. Like I would just prefer to be prepared.
Well, one of my really good friends is a soldier. He was a Green Beret for 20 years. And so, like, I mean, come on, he's very much on the whole Great Reset. He's a big, I mean, I don't think he's wrong, but I also don't want to put that much emphasis on the Great Reset and what's happening in the,
I'm not familiar with
Great Reset is the whole thing about that they're trying to build this whole like one world government, and that like what the government is doing as far as control and manipulation and like building smart cities and everything being under control, being cameras, and then taking all your, on your phone and like wanting to poison all the food. I don't think a lot of it is necessarily wrong, but I also don't want to spend my life overly connected to it's like conspiracy theory, but it's not a conspiracy. I mean, of course there's real evidence of these things.
Well,
in other words, he has taught me to be a damn good shot.
Nice. That this shit is happening is real. The motivation behind it may be different than what the quote conspiracy theorists are saying. I don't necessarily think the poisoning of our food is a malicious thing as much as we're trying to maximize profits and we don't care who we hurt.
That is malicious. Think about it. I mean, if you don't care about people's health and well-being and you just care about your pockets, that's
okay. That is you're right. That is malicious, but
definitely not love and light.
Oh no, definitely not. It's more of a.
But it's one reality, but anyway, like he has given me a lot of really great free training.
Nice.
A lot. It's actually really freaking fun. I dig it. I like it a lot. But I mean, I would have that valuable if I didn't have a soldier friend. I wouldn't have had all that valuable know-how. But
how often are you shooting?
Well, I was doing it twice a week, but I've been working on the school so much and working on the courses and all these things, and so I kind of like got anyway. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna get back to it again. The ideal at least once a week.
Handgun, rifle.
Well, I have two, and they're both handguns. But one of them is you're gonna oh my goddess, Jenevieve. Oh my goddess. Wait, okay, pressure. One is 1911. Wait, one is what the hell? CK. No. Wait, not there's two. It's a shit. CK. It's 9mm.
Okay.
One's a 9mm. It's a CK. Compact, no, Russia. Wait, what's the
CZ?
CZ. A CZK.
Okay.
And then one is a 1911 gun.
Any idea of the manufacturer on the 1911?
Oh, fuck. He has schooled me so many times on this. Why am I not? I have mantras and tantras in my head, yantras and mudras and asanas dancing in my head. 1911 Smith & Wesson shooting thing.
Oh, good. You have a 45 and a 9.
But I did a rifle and I loved. It was just. It's very meditative. It's another way of focus, concentration. You have to concentrate, focus, and be present.
Even
you're going to be a good shot.
Oh yeah, and you have to.
It could be a bow and arrow. It's focus and concentration.
Well, especially with firearms, especially like I found, if I hadn't been on the range in a while, the first couple minutes on the range was almost disorienting from the other shots, like other people shooting, and it's just like the boom. It's like, okay, you have to dial it in, have to like, kind of suppress the initial urge in your brain being like, oh, this is uncomfortable because of the loud noises and knowing what that means, and being like, no, I have to concentrate, have to dial it in.
Yeah, it is. It's like, so same thing with like meditation practices and learning how to do it. Like, all of it is contemplation, concentration, meditation, and that can be too. To be great, you definitely, you can't be like all spazzing out in every direction.
Oh, definitely not.
So I love anything that requires that frequency of holding a present vibration, and it does. That's why I like it, and I'm damn good at it. I'm actually really good at it.
Women statistically are actually better shots than men.
Really?
I don't remember why. Like one of my old firearms instructors was like, yeah, women can generally shoot better than men.
Maybe it's because they have the mama energy.
Could be. I don't know.
They can multitask better, but you're not multitasking when you're shooting. That's for damn sure. You're definitely not multitasking. That would be really odd. I don't know. It's a 1911 Smith & Wesson something, though, and I don't remember what the rest of it is. If he hears this interview, he'd be like, how did you forget that? That's all right. But it is definitely something that I enjoy. And I also am really good with the bow and arrow. Archery. Nice. Are you trying to find that gun?
No, I'm trying to find actual statistics on why women are better shooters than men.
I would think it's probably got to do with their ability to, like they have to be able to multitask and hold more energy because they're mamas. So like maybe that makes them better able to focus or concentrate.
The quick headline I found on one of them was women are more coachable. Like, so men develop bad habits and like their ego gets in the way of correcting those bad habits.
I see.
Where women are coming in as a blank slate in a lot of cases and are just, accepting of the coaching.
I was accepting of the coaching because it's so new to me.
Yeah, exactly. But how many dudes do you know that would, oh, I got this?
He said that happens on his range, and he's like, he just tells him not to come back because he's like, I'm at 20. He's like 60-something years old, 20-year Green Beret. Don't come on, you don't come on, little youngster. Come on your range and then say you got this. It's disrespectful. First of all, he's an elder, and and he knows his shit. So like, I dig it because I'm like.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's something that dudes do often.
I kicked ass.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what else are you doing with yourself, like away from the institute shooting? Like how you got to have some downtime there. What else are you doing with yourself?
I don't have downtime. So everything is about the Jenevieve Tantric school, creating the school and courses and trainings. And then now this is a second business. So this is now creating Tantrica, which is the new tantric porn site, right? That's going to be, literally, I won't have very much social time. So normally if I have any time that I'm not doing that, which I love, or my practices or studying, because philosophy and sojourn and those are all part of you have to have times where you do contemplation, where you're studying, where you're in meditation, where you're practicing, where you're doing asana. I don't know if you saw my yoga. See, I do some pretty wild yoga, but the yoga is meant for mine, but it's not meant to be a fancy pose for Instagram. But I do some pretty if you look at it later, you'll see.
I will definitely take a look.
It's some of I used to do contortions, so like a lot of, anyway, but the point being, so then I have my practice of that. My yoga practice is like 2.5 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
So like this is a truly a life. Not everyone has to do it to this extent, but because I'm so devoted to it, and I have been for like 30 years. So, and then we have ecstatic dance. So like I go to ecstatic dances, if there's other times. And then we're working on the community, like building more places on the community for people to be. I'm building making the whole outside into this like a second temple. So like think about it. Where the hell would I have any extra? And right now I know I don't. So that's another thing too, is anyone who comes into my life, what we digest, including humans, is another digestion. It's a way of digesting energy frequency. I have to be very discerning of who's in my life, because that's what I just forgive and love everyone. And so I've had people in my life that are not necessarily the best. And at this point, I'm like, I cannot have any extra, we have to be in harmonized unity of the people around me, or I have to just say I love you from afar, because I can't let there can be no bastardizing or like debauching of time.
Well, yeah.
It's also it's digestion. It's all digestion, from the physical to the subtle to the spiritual. It's all digestion. But ecstatic dance is popular too. And then I taught a temple dancing class. It was Tantric temple dancing. And I hang out with the local hippies. We do stuff in town. And I go to kirtan a lot. We have kirtan in town, really good. You know what kirtan is? So kirtan is it's in Hindu, it's Sanskrit, it's chanting. So it's like group chanting. So it's call and response, and you have musicians, and like everybody gets really into it. So we do have some really, really, really great kirtan players. And then I'm traveling constantly back and forth to Vegas and here. Lately it's been here. Why did I come here?
For this, didn't you?
Yeah, but what? I mean, it was rhetorical. I didn't mean today.
Like, I'm pretty sure you came here for this podcast.
No, I came here for some other reason recently. Why was I here?
X3? XBiz?
I was on the beach. Oh, I had a couple. I also do coaching. So I was coaching a couple in a session. They pay for me to come out and coach them privately. Yeah, I also coach.
What are you coaching them on?
I teach them tantric techniques, or I teach them how to be connected as a couple, or I teach them whatever they want to learn. This couple wanted to know how to embody divine masculine and feminine Shiva Shakti as each other, and how to have deeper, more conscious, connected sex.
So are you actually like watching them have sex during this, or?
I didn't with them. I had another couple I did, but it's not really about me watching them have sex. Like, not in that regard. It's not like about me and sometimes they'll ask me to be like, so one couple asked me to be involved with her to help her, because he wanted to learn how to please her better. Like literally what he could do. So there's something called yoni massage. Do you know what yoni? So
I'm not familiar.
In Hinduism, so yoni and lingam are the more highly spiritual, because there is no separation of pussy in Hinduism. Like, it doesn't have there's no just calling it a pussy or a vagina. They don't really categorize like we do. So the closest translation that I could possibly say is yoni is the equivalent of a pussy or a vagina, and lingam would be the closest equivalent to a penis. But in their language, it's more of like a whole divine spiritual entity of Anyway, so there's massages you could, and I'm going to have this I am going to teach lingam massage and yoni massage on the Tantric platform.
Nice.
Yeah. So there is a whole thing with lingam massage and yoni massage. And there's something called the secret spot. I'm also going to teach that. It's where you do in Tantric massage. I'm going to teach that as well. That'll all be me, because I can't hire someone else to do that, because you have to know how to do it. And the secret spot is something you do after massage, where you literally, it's like myofascial inside the body, and you will see people having real experiences when I do this. So I've seen women scream. You start having memories of traumas, abortions, tampons, perhaps like you start rape, whatever. Like you start having, and so women will be like, my baby. I've had a woman, in a safe environment, she's able to freely express that because we did all the practices beforehand to get her ready, and or they might just get really it's everyone's different, but it releases trauma in the body. And in men, you do it in their butthole.
Hit that prostate.
You're not really trying to give them orgasms. It's more of like you hold, there's all these techniques to it, and you hold it there, and it helps them release like deep-seated traumas. It's like, I had it done to me. My whole body was vibrating like this. So for me, it woke up Kundalini. I remember it was like, I was at a training, and this woman did it, and then my arms were tingling, and my chin was tingling, and it got so weird that I started like, I asked her to go get so whenever I need to ground myself, I take this one nut butter. It's chia. This is real. It's chia seeds and walnuts and cashews. And this nut butter, if I'm getting too far into this, where I come back with the nut butter. And then I have this magnesium lotion. And I put the magnesium lotion on, and I eat the nut butter, and then I do a mantra in my mind's eye silently, and I come back. So I told her, I said, go get my nut butter, please. The rest of the class was all still in their process, and they were coming down. They were blanketed and laying on their sides. Everyone was like processing. I was sitting up eating nut butter. I was the only person in the class sitting up eating nut butter, because it was really like, holy shit. It woke up. I felt energy moving, and the tingling sensation was like so weird. I've never had that kind of an activation, but it was from Sacred Spot. It goes into like the cervix and into that, so it's like a different kind of experience. And you could get off on it, but usually you don't. But anyway, I'm going to teach that. How did I get, that was about what I do in my extra time. Oh, this couple. So yeah, I do sessions for couples. And that one particular one, he wanted me to show him how to do yoni massage. So he asked me, and I mean, they're probably getting off on it too. There's a mixture in there somewhere, I think.
Sure,
like
there's something wrong with that,
designed
right?
to learn. Yeah, in that particular situation, it's not. If our intention is clear, then I'm totally fine with that. I mean, come on, I was an adult industry. I mean, come on, I'm not a prude by any means.
Oh my God, you're not?
So,
you had sex before?
So, once, a couple of times here and there.
Oh my God.
But I never
not know that?
But I never watched it. I never watched it. But so I gave her full yoni massage. I showed them all the different techniques. There's a lot of techniques for yonis. And for lingams too. There's a lot. Actually, there's a lot. I remember doing a scene with someone once, and he told me afterwards, he goes, that was the best hand job I ever had. And I wasn't really just trying to I just did a regular hand job. Because I know techniques, he like literally said, and he's like who's a big porn star guy, like a pretty popular guy. I'm not gonna say who it was. He said it was the best hand job he ever had. And I was like, oh wow, because I actually like literally am seeing it as a divine spark. I'm seeing it as a divine, hard, phallic, it's Shiva spark. I'm seeing it as that spark. So I'm literally like honoring and worshiping that divine spark. So that's what I was doing. And point of the story being that, yes, I had to show him by giving her the yoni massage. So it's different. Different people have different ways I teach, but I do sessions.
Nice.
And that's what that's why I was in California last time. I forgot what that was about, but that's what it was. So maybe once a session I do them. And it could be men. I've done them for females, lesbians. I've done them for individuals. I've done them for men who have problems performing. I've given them techniques and sessions with that. Men who have premature ejaculation, I've given them sessions.
What goes into fixing someone's premature ejaculation? It's
the practices. There's pranayama involved. There's they're at that point they're willing. They really want to get better. And there's bandha. There's certain bandhas that you lock. There's energy centers in the body. There's certain seed syllables that you repeat. There's certain asanas, like simple yoga asanas, that very simple, that you could do. There's simple versions of Vajrayoli. There's practices that you do in actual yoga that will help with that too. And mostly the breath. Pranayama is a big one. And I've helped people not have premature ejaculation. There's a technique, there's a mudra you do even with the tongue on the soft palate of the mouth.
Okay.
It's truly scientific. Like Tantra is a technology. It's a real thing. It's not just me just doing some hokey like, oh, it's a massage. Like there's definitive practices that you do in this. And if you do them regularly, they work. So I gave him all that stuff. And then I coached him online afterwards to make sure he was doing them right. He made an altar. He was doing his whole thing to Shiva. And it helped him. Premature ejaculation comes up more than a couple of times, and not being able to get it up. And I always tell them it's not about that, but you're a man, you don't want to hear it's not about that. I mean, that's really not you want that hard spark of just, you want
well, yeah, obviously, if you're going into a sexual situation, everyone involved. You want your dick. Your partner wants your dick to work. Like
it's totally true. So I can't belittle that. I totally understand. I'm really glad I'm a woman in that regard. I am.
Well, but I've failed. Like dudes fail. It just happens sometimes.
Well, that's why. So I help that too.
Right. But I'm saying even if you're a healthy dude, it just
there's moments.
Yeah, it just happens.
Maybe you're not turned on, or you're on your mind, or
something on your mind, like
or I was gonna say, or you have too many intoxicants,
right? Or
too much
there's been
tamastic
time
energy.
where I've just been exhausted, or it's happened, and I almost feel worse for my partner because a lot of times they internalize that and think, "Oh, he doesn't think I'm hot," and it's like, no, girl, there's absolutely nothing about you. Nothing I want more in this moment is to get hard and pleasure you. There's nothing I want more in this moment. Please don't take it internally. It's literally just, the mind is willing, the body is not agreeing at the moment.
Yeah. Or vice versa. Sometimes if the mind is godly. It happened to me with somebody actually not that long ago. He's like, you have no idea how bad I want to. And he couldn't. And I mean, I knew that it was other things. I think he was feeling pressured to make sure that he did. I think I think you can put pressure on yourself too.
Well, for sure.
And create a situation where like it won't work because now you psyched yourself out, Well,
and as a civilian dude, I'm sure it can
he was a civilian dude.
Yeah, it could get in his head that like
she's been with porn stars.
Yeah, she's been with porn stars. Am I going to live up to it?
Me was mostly women though. If you look at all my scenes, like it's a lot of females, a lot more females than males. But I don't know if he knows that. He probably never looked it up. He's not interested in.
He didn't do a deep dive into the library.
Well, I don't know. I think they do. I think someone in my house has done that too. I'm like totally weird. I'm like, don't be watching. Do not look me up in this house. Do not in this temple. Do not Google me. Do not look me up. I know he did. I could feel it. I had an intuition because I told you I have the second sight, and I can totally feel people's. I can hear a lot. Anyway, and I know he did, and I was like, ew. I'm completely not okay with this.
Why'd you go through with it?
No, I didn't do anything with him.
Oh.
I know he's one of the people at the caretaker.
Oh, I thought this was the dude that failed with you.
Oh no, this was somebody in my house, and I think he's looking me up online.
Oh, gotcha.
And I was like,
separate people.
Do not look me up online. No, there's 3 different men there right now who are part of the temple life. Now, I'm not fucking any of them. I'm not having sex with any of them, but they all have one is a roommate, one is in the rasa, and one is a caretaker taking care of my animals, and he like watches the house and the temple grounds. He's great. Because I can't do everything. Like you see how much I'm already doing.
Yeah.
But what was the story? Yeah. So but the other one, no, he I just told him, I said, of course I understand. And I didn't take it personal at all. I don't, that's the other thing too, is eventually at some point when you know yourself, you don't take it personal. Because even if it were because of you, hey, some people just have different, we're all beautiful beings on this road to life, and maybe it's not their cup of tea, but obviously he was there. But I knew what it was in my heart. I knew that he felt pressure. And it could be because of what you said. I didn't think of that part. I didn't even think about the porn. I didn't even think about that. I just thought pressure in general, like, oh my God, I'm in this woman's temple. Her room is a temple. This place is so like Shakti. It's energized. Now here we are in this like ritualistic setting, and her altar is right there, and there's candles. And now I have to like, she's gonna she's gonna take my head off and shit.
That's why he couldn't give it up. He was just like, he was worried about the decapitation.
No, he saw that. He goes, "That's your ex." He made a joke about it. Actually, I'm like, no, but I think it was pressure. But but I just told him, I said it's totally fine. We had a great time, and you actually pleased the hell out of me anyway. And I wasn't even looking for pleasure. I don't care if you pleasure me or not. Like it's not my goal. If it happens as an after effect, and we use it for like in some way.
Why would you not care? Why would you not want?
I don't, it's like, it's not the end result. I don't have to, it doesn't have to be that you have to give me an orgasm. It's not the end goal. Like if we're having a sensual, amazing time, I'm happy with that.
There's a difference between pleasure and an orgasm. Like,
oh yeah, I'm just saying I don't care. Like you don't have to make me come. It's not mandatory. Like I have to, I'm not seeking quick fixes. So like if I don't, I don't seek to eat. I don't seek to at this point, I'm just kind of like, I don't feel the need to have to find external stimulation for anything. So if I do, I want to use it for a ritual. First of all, I'm going to have sex magic. It's going to be something. And if I don't, and I don't want you to feel like I don't want them to feel like they have to. But of course, if they feel like they have to, I mean, come on now.
Well, yeah, everyone.
You always feel like even if you don't have to, you feel like they feel like they have to.
Well, yeah,
but he couldn't at all, and I was just like, it's okay. And then I'm like, I'm not going to flog a dead. I'm not going to like keep. I don't want to keep. Because then I think what I did might have been. I hope I didn't. Because I was just kind of like, oh, it's fine. No. And I think I said, well, let's do something. I think I suggested we do something else or something, and that was like. Because I don't want to you don't want to force it. If it's not working, don't force it. Let it be. Just let it be what it is in that moment. And there's always other moments, So I think I was like, okay, we're good now. Because I don't want to I don't want to chase it.
Yeah, well, it becomes awkward at some point.
And it becomes a lot of work. You start feeling like I work already. I'm not in the mood. I don't want to work. You know, like I've been working here. It's just
this is supposed to be fun, not.
You know, but that is not common. But I can see how that happens sometimes.
Well,
or they're working too hard and they can't because they're like breaking a sweat too much, or
yeah,
you know,
make sure you're hydrated.
Slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah, and make sure you're hydrated.
Hydration. Yeah, if you're dehydrated, you're not going to be able to perform. Yeah. And you don't have to come as a man. You can take the orgasm and bring it back up, which is what I teach that too. You take the orgasm and you breathe it. That's one of the videos is going to be that too, where you use it and then it becomes like this. It gives you like more of it's great for potency and health. Like it builds your health. So every time you don't spill your seed and you bring it back up into yourself with the orgasm, you're giving yourself massive longevity and potency. Massive. It's really good for your health.
I don't know.
Overall well-being.
Modern science says if you don't come ejaculate 5 times a week, it increases your risk for prostate cancer.
It's a fallacy. That is a fallacy. 5 times a week. They want everyone to be dull and stupid. You don't have to come that many times.
But I want to.
Oh, well then go for it.
I am.
But you can still have the orgasm and not come too. Like you can have.
Well, no. They're saying you have to ejaculate 5 times.
It's not fucking true. It's not.
I'm just saying it's in medical journals.
Then you deplete yourself, your ojas. Ojas is really important for your auric field and your health and your longevity. And it can give you weakness and tiredness and depletion. And it's not, I mean, I don't know. And then tomorrow they'll say, it's like coffee's good, coffee's bad.
Coffee's good.
Tomorrow, it is good. Tomorrow over ejaculation, I'm going to go with tried and true. Hinduism has been around for a long friggin' time, and they have Ayurvedic medicine, and I'm going to go with tried and true, and like that there's a moderation to that. Some gurus and monks don't come at all, but they know how to. So this book is telling you they don't know because they're not giving you the practices to change it. In Tantra, they're giving you practices to change it to where it is good for your health. You learn how to do it the right way. So then you can come sometimes and not come sometimes. But they're giving you a way to do it. There's a deeper science that the Western isn't. They don't know. So.
I personally enjoy coming quite a bit.
Yeah, when you still come. Do you ever had a full body orgasm where you didn't come?
No.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. You all can do that. Just a thought. I mean, I planted a seed of thought. I get it, seed.
Yeah. Well,
see what I did there?
I did.
This is something to think about because there's full body. There's a lot to do there, and then you can set an intention. Like, okay, I mean, it can be so. Oh, I'll tell you a quick little.
Always.
Should I share this?
Yes.
So my temple. There was another whole thing that went on before I got it. The year before, I had done a retreat with someone who is also a practitioner, but like a Western occultism practitioner. And I thought he was prepared. I thought his Shakti was ready for a sexual ritual. I learned it wasn't. But we did a ritual for this place. So the way it manifested was very clear the ritual worked because I told you the story and I only told you part of it. There's more, and I can't say the rest because it would be too much. But if you knew the rest of the story, you'd be like, holy shit. I mean, there's no way. Anyway, so we did this ritual. It was 3 people, and it was an all-night ritual. So it started at like 6 in the afternoon, went on until like 6 in the morning. And we did mantra, just chanting in Sanskrit to certain different deities and beings and ethereal beings and gods and goddesses and all these things. And Nagas, Naginis, Yakshinis, one particular Yakshini who is like the queen of the Yakshini and a very powerful. But I feel comfortable doing it. It's a left-hand ritual. A lot of people would not even touch it, but I don't. I feel okay. I trust it, and I know my intention too. I know that me getting this temple, my intention was also to have a conscious community for many people. It's so really everything I'm doing, even though it benefits me, it's really not for just me. It's really it's all inclusive of me helping to bring more love and bring enlightenment into the world. So all my intentions are really not just for me. Almost none of them. I'm involved. I'm not egoless, but I have a bigger goal in mind of consciousness and this world. So anyway, that disclaimer being said, we did the ritual and it was a female and a male. We filmed it too. but I can't out her, so I promise I would. Anyway, so we did like probably an hour of chanting, and then we did the whole ritual ceremony of the altar, which I'll go into in my videos if they really want to know. And then we prepared the space, and then I did the whole ritual on her, and then she went into this state of like, so this was like when the orgasm reminded me of it, she came to a point of climax after about an hour and a half of me doing this. That's how long it was. She did the certain breath technique, and her body was, and her man was filming it, by the way, and her body started to convulse, and her belly was convulsing, and it looked like she was having some kind of like, it looked like what you see when you go, hallelujah, and they do like the touch the bodies. The body's like, it looked like that.
She looked possessed.
It literally looked like that, but she was having a full body experience with the breath work that she knew to do. And then later on, her boyfriend like left. He was so pissed because he said he never saw her have an orgasm like that before. This was afterwards.
What a fucking week ego.
And then we tried to explain to him. I said, "You understand that we're doing this in the context of a ceremony, of a divine goddess ceremony." He was so upset that he's like that I gave her that, and it's not like I gave her that orgasm. I was the conduit, but there was more going on there than just me as a woman giving. It was an entire embodiment of Kali and Divine Mother and Shiva. He was very upset.
This is weak,
very upset.
Weak mental bullshit. Like,
yeah, it was.
At the end of the day,
hurt his ego.
If you've never given your partner that kind of orgasm, figure out how to. Not like, obviously.
What I just did.
It's obviously possible to do that.
Just do it. You just watch the whole thing happen. Now you know what the techniques are, so now you can practice them.
Right.
But anyway,
just do the thing.
And
try to recreate
the mantra. You needed the sound vibration was part of it for sure.
Well, it's just like anything else in life where people get jealous at someone else's success. It's like,
yes,
stop.
Plenty for everyone.
Stop being jealous. If someone else is doing a thing, that means it's possible. Figure out how they did it and recreate it yourself.
It's exactly. Just love their success to extreme and be like, let it inspire you. Be like, I'm going to do my version of that. There's plenty for everyone. That's the thing with jealousy and that too is there's enough for the goddess is infinitely abundant. You can do it too. That's another thing. I do have a thing about that too. Like if we all realize that it's in all of us, we don't have to be jealous of anybody's successes. We can cheer them on and be supportive as sisters and brothers instead of that. So I love what you just said. I feel the same way. When it's like, you can have the same thing. Open your heart to know that this is, anyway. So anyway, back to the ritual. So then the second half of the ritual was my co-host and who called himself, okay, no, let's not even do that. Anyway, who I thought was ready for all of this. He had seen this being at my house beforehand. He drew the being. And I'm like, yeah, that's so-and-so. I'm not going to say what the being was. I knew what it was. And I thought that he was comfortable with that being and that he knew how to channel that. But during my ceremony with her, he left his body. The room turned blue. And that being visited him. And he said that the being came back and the being was in the room. And the room was like, he couldn't see anyone or anything. And as she orgasmed, he was gone. And then he came back and that being was there. And I think he didn't know how to handle the energy of that. We're not doing like possessions and devil's work, by the way. This was all meant for a divine purpose and in loving context. And it came out great for me and her. You just have to, it's just a matter of holding. I think his intention was off. I think secretly he had other intentions. I think that's what it was. And so, but anyway, then the second half was him and I. So then we did all the mantras, the chanting in Sanskrit with him. We set the stage. We did the whole thing. We did more ceremony. I did a whole linga, a thing to Bhairava and Bhairavi, which are the divine, that's the Shiva Shakti version in Tantra. And then we anointed anointing. And this part wasn't filmed. Then we did our thing. And then by then it was sunrise. And it was just, then we were done. And then within 1 year to the date, November 1st, because this happened on November 1st after a ceremony, my condo went up for sale in Vegas, which is what I had to have happen to do the property. It sold within 1 month. And it was before that because escrow closed the day the Year of the Dragon started. My escrow closed the day the Year of the Dragon. I have a really big thing with dragons and snakes and the whole reptilian race. So there was a correlation in February. It was February that my property and the Year of the Dragon started at the exact same time. But before that, November 1st. Yeah, so November 1st. So it was November 1st to November 1st, and then November, December, January, February, and then 3 months later. Yes, that's how it went. So to a year to the date, and then 3 months later was the escrow close on the Year of the Dragon. The Year of the Dragon started, but to the date is when and my condo opened and closed like almost immediate. It was all in the same timeline of what we did with the ceremony, and then he later on recently went way like left field. I don't know what happened with him, but anyway. And he came to see me, and I made him leave. He had to leave because I don't know what happened. It was a different person. I didn't recognize him. He had like a slimy, he was like, it's something, I don't know what, he's just going on a different path. I think it's just not really benefiting him.
What was he trying to do?
Western occult. I think he's doing stuff with the Goetia, honestly. I think he's doing some. Goetia is one of Crowley's working with the like other dimensions of daemon and stuff. I think he's doing something like that. And I think that his body wasn't ready for what we did because he wasn't fully connected to a divine source because he was working with that stuff as well. And I don't, that is not my realm. I'm not interested. I mean, I don't have a fear of it, but I don't have an interest in it.
For sure.
It's for more personal gain as opposed to like loving open consciousness. So, and then he came there and he came in my door and he walked in and he had like, literally saw this ethereal slime. Like he had like slime. Like you ever seen like these weird demon things like slime? He had slime coming off him, and I was like, ew. And he went to hug me, and I felt like I saw this slimy presence, and I didn't want to touch me. And then he was acting really, really weird. And the girl who did the ceremony at this point, she was living with me. She came back full circle too. Wasn't even the plan; it just wound up that way. And I asked him to leave because he just wasn't. And then he went kind of like when I'm going to some other really weird stuff happened. I don't want to go into it because it's really dark. But anyway, I think he's better now. But that was an example I think of having to be really conscientious of like, are people's hearts in the right place, you know? But anyway, that ceremony I brought into fruition. That ritual brought into fruition this temple. I believe that was a huge part of it.
Oh yeah.
And it was like an all night and morning ceremony. And it was great. And a lot of it's on film, but I can't show it. But you can see her convulsing and having this like full body orgasm. Like, but she's sending it up to the divine consciousness. She's breathing it up. And like, you could see, you know, and it's freaking amazing. And we used her menstrual. It was really great. But anyway, and I do believe it brought the temple.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I heard you about to say menstrual blood.
We used her menstrual blood. Her menstrual blood was part of it. You know, she's.
What'd you use that with? Like
in that one, I think that was right before we did the ceremony because she wasn't bleeding when I was doing stuff to her. She had taken a chalice, you know, and she took the chalice and she put her blood into the chalice and she poured it over the linga, you know, along with all the other offerings of flowers. And so you always use all the elements: earth, air, water, fire, earth, water, fire, air, and ether. That would be the right thing. And taught with Shooty go that direction because that's how it is in our bodies. But and so we had been incense for the spiritual beings to smell because disembodied beings with no bodies they relate through scent. So if you burn incense, the ethereal beings they relate to you through the smell. That's why flowers are great. You can put intention into flowers. And then of course we had all the elements in place, and then we added the blood as like an offering of, so our life force, Shakti, Kali Ma, she rules blood, the life force that runs through the Agni, the fire that runs through our beings. So we did particular mantras to a certain Yakshini. I know that doesn't know what I'm talking about, but it's a divine race. And when we use the blood on the linga, along with other stuff too.
Nice.
Yeah, and there was a very, very elaborate layout of things there.
Well, I'm assuming if it went that long.
Mother. But it was long.
Yeah.
But it felt like 10 minutes. You could not tell we were there for that long because it was just such a beautiful, that was happening. So that was what that was. So the temple came on the heels of a really beautiful, high vibe ceremony.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And he's fine now. I just think that, you know, you have to, if I'm going to pick anyone in the future to do things with, whoever I have as Lord Shiva, it has to be somebody really who's holding a really high vibration of current, and the Kundalini, and there has to be held at a really high vibrational current in the spinal spheres of the body.
How do you determine that?
Well, if they have to have a strong practice, they have to have been doing a practice for a lot of years. Also, you could tell by how the fluctuation, where their mindset is, and what they can exhibit. So if he can blow his ganja pipe, that's what I always say for my next partner. So people are like, you know, so I'm like, oh no, my next partner's here, you know, because he'll take his ganja pipe, he'll blow some smoke, and then it'll turn into a spirit, like a divine ethereal spirit out of his pipe. And then he'll have a conversation with the spirit, and he'll be doing work with the spirit and talking with it. And I'll come outside and see them talking. Like that's a good indication that he's done the work.
Yeah.
It's like I had a vision when I was driving of like that he's just blowing smoke, and I don't really need him to smoke ganja. I'd rather he didn't, but anyway, but that that he was he had that level of holding the energy in the spinal sphere, so that level also reaching if he can reach states of samadhi. If I've seen him like leave his body and be in samadhi and hold that vibration, that I know that he's truly done the work. And my man doesn't have to do all this. Like this is not a prerequisite. But just being conscientious of who we utilize. Now, for the scenes, none of this is even an issue because we're not going that deeply into it.
Scenes are an actual partner there.
Yeah, and the scenes we're all going to be like it's going to be blessings for everyone who does the scenes. I hope it doesn't scare any porn stars off because we're not going to get to that. Not going to be to that extreme. It's going to be more of just really high, like beautiful connectivity. Yeah.
Well, yeah, for sure. There should be definitely a difference between someone. The requirements for someone to do a scene with you versus
is not the same as a ritual. Yes.
Or just someone to be actually romantically involved with you.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that too. Yeah, I mean, I tell you, the more you practice, like the more you're kind of like less and less. There's less and less, less and less actual interest. So like I haven't been like I haven't had a really intense attraction to anybody in a really long time.
Does that bum you out?
No, not at all. I actually, it's given me room to hold space for all this high, like massive amount of Shakti to do all this, And no, it doesn't bum me. I think it's beautiful. It means that I'm having more discernment because in the past I had not, my choices were not great. So I feel like I think it's a sign of having much more discernment. And so it's a really beautiful thing because my decisions sometimes were not in alignment with my practice. Now they are.
Why do you think you made those decisions?
I think that we sometimes work from places of past life karmas with that person, looking for states that remind us of something from our childhood that wasn't really very therapeutic. Like say we had whatever our relationships with our family could have been, or thinking that love is thinking that love is about cold, callous, aloof behavior. Cavalier behavior. Maybe that's what we grew up with, and we think that's what so that behavior we see as love in a partner, but really it's just trauma, or like and I feel like I've cleared so much anything that was traumatic in my life. I feel like I've cleared through the practices. I think you're looking for recreating something from when you were little that never got resolved, and once you clear those things, then now I don't feel the desire to have some kind of asinine. Nothing. We're all asinine. I love them all. I'm actually really great friends with I love my ex. We're like besties, and I love him. But I don't think it was healthy. What we were doing wasn't healthy. And thinking that love and relationships have to have drama, or like there has to be that passion is really fighting, or passion is like having to work things out constantly. Looking for some kind of like thinking that is what love is. That kind of like dramatic, fiery passion that gets me into states of like complete, like wild woman, like almost demonic. That's not what it's about. And I think I fed off that. And I feel finally like I don't have to feed off that anymore. You could be passionate and wild. I'm always going to be passionate and wild. Always, always, always. But it can be in a divinely attuned way. And of course, I don't want someone who has no fire. I'm not going to have a guy that's just like so chill that like, he's just like, yeah, man, like, oh, we're going to be great. He's got to have fire under his asshole for sure. But he's also learned how to control it and maneuver it in a way that is like sexy as fuck. It's powerful, it's potent, and he knows when to strike. It's like a serpent. You can slither and move and like, and you can slither, but when you strike, but you strike hard, concentrated, and focused, and with that tongue. That's funny. That wasn't even what I was thinking, but that is like actually I would love like a serpent human. Like I have visions of this in my solo rituals. Sometimes like I have these like he's like it's a serpent human. He's the one like a Naga. He's a Naga. Because remember I told you the Nagas and the Chinese. So he's a Naga and he's like a serpent, and so he comes like in this like slithery kind of like gets into, he's like in me, but he's potent. He's almost kind of scary, like doesn't scare me, but he like there's a certain frighteningness of power
but
in his
eyes. It makes it exciting, right?
But it's not like fighting like in the mundane, like 3 days, we're fighting over like, oh, you didn't, I don't know, whatever bullshit people do in relationships that is really not really what love is really. Anyway, you have to have the freedom and liberation to do what you desire anyway. No one should have any restrictions on anybody. But anyway, so, and then he like, he has these piercing eyes and they just pierce each other's soul like through our eyes. And then he just like, and then he's like snaky tongue and like fucking like kind of trippy guy, like a trippy guy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like you met those kind of, you ever meet guys?
Oh, I have, yeah.
No, you haven't. Not like this. Not that kind of snake. But yeah, that's my vision. Like I see him where he can penetrate me on such a ridiculously astral and physical, emotional, spirit, all the levels. And so then I'll just keep creating. Oh,
yeah. As we said earlier in the show, you don't need someone to complete you.
It's so much fun. But it's like a fun vision. That's like a lot of fun. And if you make a vision and you have a vision, visions come into fruition. This is a fact.
Yeah. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but
the men with tails are not common.
Sure. Very true. A lot of times you'll go to cosmetic surgeries and get them removed.
Oh, no, that's not the same.
I know, I'm fucking around.
I kind of figured because
maybe
there are humans with there's people in India born with tails. I've seen it.
Oh, we have tailbones.
Yeah, I've seen tails, and they see them as divine. They don't remove it. In the Western world, you'd see it as a mistake, but in that world, they realize that they see it as divine. Do you have a tail?
No. No, I do not. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Really just disappointing.
When you can develop siddhis, which are spiritual powers, and then you'll develop a tail. But making the differentiation between the school and the porn site, I have to say that between the tantric porn and the school, so there's a different. They're two separate entities. One is not a sex thing, and one will be left-hand sexual rituals. The school is more of the lineage of classical traditional tantra. So the differentiation between those two things, my school and the site. But I think the site is going to be what people can more readily grab.
One of them doesn't involve going to Sedona.
Well, no, all the courses are online. So they don't actually have to go there anyway. They're all going to be soon. So yeah,
I think the full experience would happen in person, though. I don't feel like
there is that too.
Would be the same online.
That's true. I thought about actually doing one in India and doing one in other places too at some point. Yeah. But you can. I mean, I sometimes you have to learn online until you can get to somebody.
Oh, for sure. It's getting some knowledge is better than nothing.
Yeah, because otherwise you're like, where do I find this?
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing wrong with learning something online. But
it's not the same.
Right.
It's totally true. And you can also learn. You can mentor. Like my India people, I talk online with them. Like we do Zoom meetings and we mentor and we do initiations and we do teachings on Uchista and Kamakia. And the Shri, certain things with Lalita, Tripura Sundari. We do it online because she's in India.
Yeah, what can you do? But I'm sure once you're in the same room with her, there's going to be a better
totally energy. Different.
Yeah,
for sure.
To relate to this, that's why I don't do these remotely. Because
there's
just a completely different energy of doing it over Zoom. I had to do them over Zoom over the whole pandemic. There's just a different energy of being in the room with someone.
Totally, I agree. Yeah.
And I feel it's a bad product for the audience. It's a bad product for the guest, for me, to do it over Zoom. There's just something lost.
No, there's definitely something lost. That's for sure. Yeah. And you were here, so it was probably hard to actually. I was here too. I was doing a yoga training when the pandemic hit. I was in Malibu. They made us all leave.
Oof.
Everything started closing down in the middle of the training, and we were like, what is happening? It was really trippy. They were saying that the border was closed to Vegas. I lived in Vegas. Yeah, I remember that. It was really trippy here. Whole Foods stopped having a salad bar. So you knew things were rough.
Sign of the apocalypse.
There's no salad bar at Whole Foods.
No hot bar, no salad bar.
Well, you just knew something was wrong at that point.
Oh, for sure.
But I was doing yoga teacher's training. Yeah, I was here. So I know it was rough. You couldn't probably see anybody in person.
No, I did a couple semi-risky shows with people I knew that were friends in person, but otherwise, yeah, they're all remote the whole pandemic.
Oh man. How many years? No, 1 year?
Year and a half. I'd have to.
Damn. I guess that's lonely.
Yeah, it resulted in me having some risky sex with some people I probably shouldn't have.
I think it did that for a lot of people.
Yeah. Like, oh, yeah. I've talked about this on air before, but like, girl that I don't dislike her, but she's not the best person. But she wanted to come by and bang. I'm like, okay, sure. Not the best person.
Well, was it fun?
No. The sex is fun. I do not dislike her, but it's like one of those things where like, outside of that situation, I would never want to actually be romantically involved with her. And it's really just weird little life choices. Like, we were out at a bar pre-pandemic, and it was a bar where I'm friends with the staff. They hooked it up on a bunch of drinks, and she was offering to buy. And with the staff hooking us up with a bunch of drinks and shit like that, she tipped like shit. And that's just, it sat wrong with me. It's like, these guys didn't have to comp us a bunch of drinks. And you're tipping like 10%.
Oh, that's embarrassing.
Yeah. Like, I just threw down some.
Of course you did it. Yeah, of course.
I threw down money afterwards, but it's just like, this isn't the type of person I would see any kind of future with.
Yeah.
As little, in the grand scheme, as little of a thing as that is, it's a marker for who you are as a person.
No, it is. It is. I would notice that too. I would notice like where's your generosity, or unless you just don't have the money. But if that were the case, I would say, hey, I'm sorry. It's a small tip. I'm really short today. When I would make a disclaimer and be like, hey, this is really light,
Or say something to me, and like I mean, I threw down the money anyways. But hey, Matt, I'm a little light. Can you get the tip? I'm buying the drinks. Like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely no problem. But to, unabashedly be like, no, they're just making drinks.
No, that says something about a human being. Yeah. I feel when it's just being unconscious, because we're all. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
But that is something that you look at, because that is showing you that not everyone is. She doesn't see everyone as a full human being, because they're making drinks, so they're not like a full human being, or they're not like worthy or something.
Yeah, it was.
You don't want to see that with anybody. I've with wait staff too. Like if somebody, actually one of my soul sisters, we were at a restaurant, and like she was like kind of like, and I was like, girl, you're like being a little bit like a bougie, a little diva-ish. That is like, I do not. Like being rude to wait staff or people that are serving you, they're serving you.
Yeah.
I mean, they may not be doing it with total love, but that's important to me that you're like really kind. That's actually a really big deal. It shows how you are to humans.
Well, a good judge of someone's character is
you're like better than people.
Definitely. It's a good judge of someone's character is like, how does someone treat someone who can't do anything for them?
That's not a small thing, by the way. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. Because that's an opportunist who's not really thinking about, loving thy neighbor, loving others, that's a big thing. I'm always really kind to people that serve me. I overboard. I say thank you like 25 times.
I still fucked her multiple times after that.
You must have really needed to get laid. I don't know.
Oh, it was during the pandemic, and I was just in here by myself, and she's like, "Oh, I want to come by and get laid." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Like, it was not a good decision. It was a lot of not good decisions.
You know what? You get a free pass. Don't even be mad at yourself about it.
Oh, I'm not.
It was a weird time, I
didn't
have any sex during the pandemic at all, I don't think. I didn't care. I was running around being a hippie and like camping everywhere and looking for my new place, my new business, my place at my school. That's a whole pandemic. But it was so much fun because we were like camping the whole time. I had so much fun. Just camping. It was so hot and warm out. I love hot, warm weather.
I'm sure I've said this on air, but I've definitely said it to other people. Like, the pandemic's a weird time for me because it was the only time in my adult life where like I just had time to work on my own projects. And because I had all that extra time, I got to invest in improving my craft, in bettering myself, because I wasn't distracted by a ton of other bullshit. So in that respect, it was actually a pretty good time for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if life had continued per normal in 2020. I would have taken the time to develop the skills I developed during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
Like just on like video editing and like my creative outlets. I just sat at home all day creating shit because I wasn't having to stress about finding gigs to make money and working on other people's projects.
Yeah.
It's kind of selfish. It's kind of fucked up.
No, it's great to hone the things you love. I mean, that's part of dedication, focus. It's a spiritual practice. You're working on the things that you love. Like, you love this. I assume you don't hate it.
Depending on the day.
Well, that's every single person on the planet with anything you do. But overall, you love it.
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't
not be doing it.
I've been doing the show. It'll be 9 years in
drinks.
March.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, so you love it.
No, there's definitely days where it's just infuriating. And that's just part of having to deal with people. That is part of having a real conversation with people, because sometimes they go off the fucking rails. Sometimes they don't go well. Sometimes, because this is real. This isn't scripted. This isn't,
what do you do? Just end it? Like, okay, thank you so much.
Oh, yeah. No, there's episodes I called early. There's episodes that just haven't aired.
Nice talking to you.
Yeah. Oh, no, those have definitely happened.
You better air mine.
I'm airing yours.
I will take your head.
That's how I go, folks. I'm going to air your episode. But most of the time, episodes that don't air because the guest ends up getting a little too comfortable and saying things that they really didn't want to say on air. And though I offered to edit them out, a lot of times they're just like, oh, just scrap the whole episode.
Whoa. That's your time. The whole episode? You could take, oh my goddess.
It happens.
Whoa.
Or I've pissed people off to the point where they're like, just don't air that. And some of that comes from people misunderstanding what the show is, because I definitely get people who have not done any research on the show. They're expecting to come to, especially as performers, to do a typical porn interview.
Oh, why though? You could do that anywhere.
I agree.
It's like, so that's extraordinarily common.
I agree. And that's why I don't do that. But when I don't do that.
Maybe if you have nothing to say, maybe. Like, if someone doesn't have anything to say, they're just prepared to talk about how many cocks they sucked or something. I don't know. Maybe.
The one that comes to mind as of late was like one of the last ones I didn't air. The performer came here and just wanted to do nothing but promote her recent scenes for 2 hours. And every time I would try to steer it away from her scenes, she would try to steer it right back. And then she was furious by the end of it about how it went.
I mean, there's plenty of time to talk about the scenes. Like, there's not like you cut. I mean, you have time to talk about everything because you don't really. There's not like you said. That's it. I don't know. You just get all in there. Plus, I mean, if someone is watching the interview, I mean, you get it at some point. You get the message. So there's like something. Anyway, I mean, much love to everybody. I don't know. Everybody has their own ways of whatever it is that they're doing. Like, my nails are orange. This is Svastisthana's chakra.
Nice.
Sexual chakra. Anyway, but I don't know.
It's just how it goes sometimes.
Everyone just has, yeah.
It's just the nature of two strangers sitting down, having drinks, and seeing where it goes. Sometimes not everyone's going to click.
So I feel you on sometimes having to like go on a 180 and being like, okay, this was not the plan.
Yeah. That's just how life goes sometimes.
Yeah. Just an odd, beautiful opportunity. Like the dog that I have to get out of the shelter because I feel terrible about it. I mean, I had to bring him to see if his parents would find him. Nobody's claiming him, so I'll take him.
Awesome.
Unless you want a dog.
I do not. I have enough times. I have enough problems keeping myself alive.
I know, and
I don't want to be responsible for anything else living.
But I have a magical cat. The cat teaches me techniques in my sleep too. My cat teaches me like different like ways to reach other astral realms. He's a fairy cat. His name is Faye. You should see a picture of him. If you look, you'll understand that he's an ascended master. When we get off air, you'll have to show me a picture. He is an ascended master. He really is. He has perfect meditation, perfect states of samadhi, or like that absorption in the divine. And he tells me everything with his eyes, totally psychic in his eyes. And he found me in Vegas and came to me. So he's like my familiar. But so sometimes having an animal can really connect you to like all these magical realms. Maybe you should have a magical dog. Well, it's also one of those things. I don't feel it's fair to have a dog in an apartment. Yeah, you're in an apartment. I'm fucking with you, basically. I have 4 acres, so I'll take him. I'll take him, but... Okay. Yeah, I'll come visit at some point. Yeah. I'll visit him. Yeah. I named him Krishna, like Lord Krishna. Nice. Yeah.
I will definitely come visit him. Okay. I gotta see the farm anyways.
There's no farm. Don't try to give me a farm. Because I have like 25 animals. I can't have 25 animals.
It's 4 acres. No. I am such an urban dude where like I hear 4 acres. I'm like, it's a farm.
My neighbors have farms. Well, there's like really nobody out there, but there's a couple. They have farms. But no, I can't. I mean, I could see me wearing some sexy overalls and getting out there, but I would definitely milk cows, but I think cows are sacred, so I would just have to love up. Actually, that might not be no.
I'm putting ideas in your head. You're like
cows are amazing creatures. No. You totally just made me think of something because I'm just thinking of the divine act of milking a cow and having your own milk and sharing and connecting with the cow. That's really divine. Shit.
Sorry.
Why'd you have to remind me? Cows.
My bad. And speaking of my bad, I hate to do it. We've been doing this for over 2 hours.
We're done. Yeah, we should go.
We're going to call last
You're not going anywhere, but I am.
We're going to call last call on this motherfucker. We'll do this again.
This was really good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. You gave me Angel City Cup.
The available glassware.
I like it.
But before we get you out of here.
Doesn't say Angel. Oh, yeah.
Where can they find you on the things? Where can the audience find you? Find your classes, find all
you can find me in the realms of the astral, and I'm just kidding. So, Twitter, right, is Jenevieve Hexxx. Should I spell it?
Sure.
It's hard to spell, or is it just like way overkill?
Spell it.
Okay, Jenevieve, and then Hexxx, Hexxx. But what is easier is Instagram is Jen Hexxx _X. I mean, this actually is way too difficult. You know what they could do? Just go to Jen. Here, no, wait, forget all that. JenZayaTantra.com. JenZaya, JenZaya, Tantra, TANTRA. Tantra. I forgot to spell Tantra. Tantra. Why am I forgetting to spell Tantra?
I blame the
TANTRA.
I blame the tequila.
That was totally odd, man. So JenZayaTantra.com, because all my links are on there, and you could see the school if they want to take courses or classes, the training I'm doing in June, the porn site. I don't know if I can put it on those links, so that'll have to be. So follow me on Twitter. The Twitter link is not in there either. The Twitter is Jenevieve Hexxx. The rest of the stuff's in there because I don't put because I try to separate the school and the adult. So find the Twitter because that will have the porn. Or if I can you can do, your link tree. If I could put can you put like a secret, like a pepper or something, like, for your link, like put like a hot pepper.
For the spicy stuff, yeah.
And like, will you get in trouble?
No, when Tree allows that.
It's okay to do that?
Yeah.
All right, well then I guess I'll look for the spicy pepper on my JenZayaTantra.com because I don't know how I can list that. But anyway, you can find me, and that has Instagram, Facebook, and my website on there.
Oh, yeah.
And the training is on there too.
Jamie, thank you.
Thank you.
This has been a fun one.
Jaima.
Until next week, drink up, motherfuckers.
Jaima.